Good morning, 10:03 from Vanderbilt Health Football Center on day one of Titans training camp. I'm Lucas Panzica. The Titans are getting ready to get on the practice field for the first time in training camp under Robert Saleh. Things got underway with a press conference yesterday where GM Mike Borgonzi stated that safety Amani Hooker will come off the physically unable to perform list today. Tackle J.C. Latham will remain on the PUP list but is day-to-day with a pec strain. Robert Saleh also spoke just a few minutes ago saying that wide receiver Calvin Ridley will miss the beginning of camp out with a stomach bug. In college football news, the NCAA has suspended Tennessee veteran linebacker Arion Carter for 2 games for a $427 flight that his agent paid for to an NFL pre-draft training facility. This was before Carter decided to withdraw from the draft and reimburse his agent, Adam Sparks, on the reporting. In NFL news, Jalen Carter, the Eagles defensive lineman, inked a deal for him to pass Jeffrey Simmons as the highest-paid defensive tackle in NFL history. A 4-year, $152 million extension that includes $106 million in guaranteed money. For all your foundation repairs and waterproofing needs, visit USSTN.com. Breaking news at once and your home for the Titans and Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone.
The football gods are smiling down on us today. We have training camp, the Titans day one here at the practice facility, and we are live for the next 3 hours. Carnell Tate will join us, the number 4 overall pick in the draft. Looking forward to catching up with him. Quarterbacks, wide receivers, linebackers, linemen, everything that you want, we got it here for you, and we're looking forward to getting an idea of who the hell this team is going to be in 2026. Hope you're off to a great start on this Wednesday morning. Lucas is here with me. Robert, Big J, Burt is out there somewhere on the practice field doing something of consequence. At least that's what he told me to start the show. Good morning.
Good morning. He's very happy. He's very excited. If you want to see Robert like a kid on Christmas, see Robert on day one of an NFL training camp, even if he's not a Titans fan.
Well, and that's the thing that I love the most about this, the pure joy of this time of year, because nobody's won yet, nobody's lost yet, and, God forbid anything happen on the field, because, of course, there's a 100% chance of injury in the sport of football. But before this thing starts, the pure, unadulterated joy of a new football season is something that I think permeates everything that we do, no matter how cynical I might be about the day-to-day.
It's like that post-draft feeling where if you are a fan, all you envision is the best-case scenario, for the most part, on your NFL draft class, on your NFL team's draft class, on day one of training camp, before they even put pads on, before we even get to team drills and we start to see players tested, we start to see players pass those tests, fail those tests. Hope reigns abundant, because all you're picturing is the best-case scenario. All you're picturing right now as a Titans fan is Cam Ward being elevated by an improved wide receiver core, a defense with a head coach that has been one of the best defensive play callers in the league during his time in the league, an established offensive play caller, improved depth in multiple areas. So, yes, it's okay to have joy on day one of training camp, and we'll see how the conversation develops over the next few weeks.
615-737-1045, the number. If you want to jump in, what are you most excited to see out here at Titans training camp? They have made some renovations out here at the practice facility. There's a new Field 1, which we are directly in front of. If you're watching us today on Zone TV, which is also where you can interact with the show, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and Twitch is where we are live streamed today. We are up here on the balcony, the SeatGeek Terrace, where they've been kind enough to set us up for a full view of all 3 practice fields, but Field 1, 2, and 3 in front of us directly. They've been working on Field 1. Lucas, when's the last time you've been out here? You didn't come out at any point during a spring, right?
Training camp.
So this whole thing has been torn the hell up for the last couple of months, and they've been redoing this field specifically for the purposes of aeration and water drainage and things like that. They've put new bleachers up for fans who are going to be in attendance, because eventually we will have fans out here throughout the course of the training camp process. There looks like there's a luxury box set up, which I'm sure is for the high-paying season ticket holders or sponsors of the team. There is a larger bleacher section, which looks like Gen Pop, or maybe Gen Pop is right in front of us, because this section that we're looking directly at has a covered awning, for lack of a better term, and the stands directly in front of us or below us do not have coverage, though the facility is kind of looming over it, so people will be able to sit in the shade. It's a much more fan-friendly experience. They'll be able to have the most fans out here that they have had since they started redoing the facility, since this wing was built. Because, I mean, did you ever come out as an actual Titans fan? Did you ever come to a training camp practice?
No.
So when I first started coming to Titans camp, this whole area where the new wing of the facility is, or newer wing of the facility is, used to be just bleachers for people to come, and there were bleachers all along the sides there. And so that since they have been doing so much construction, they have cut down. They've had to cut down on the number of fans that they've been able to have, but this will be the most fans that will be able to attend a training camp practice in quite some time. So I know there are Titans fans who are excited about getting out here and seeing their football team for the first time. Do you have anything that you're particularly excited to see on day one? Just a quick update, though. Calvin Ridley not going today. He's got a stomach bug. Now, nobody pressed Robert Saleh on the idea if he's got the lettuce parasite or not, but apparently he lost a tremendous amount of weight. They're waiting for him to get his weight back up. He suffered a lot of loss of fluids through that illness, so no Calvin Ridley today, and apparently Mitch Trubisky experiencing some level of tightness from the conditioning test yesterday. The backup quarterback will also not go on day one of training camp.
Yeah, we need to have someone do some investigative journalism, check the record, see if Calvin Ridley purchased Taco Bell at any point within the last 3 weeks.
Well, you told me you risked it all and went to Taco Bell recently.
I did. I'll always risk it all for Taco Bell.
And you requested no lettuce?
I requested no lettuce, and they completely ignored that request and just filled it up with lettuce, which, listen, tip the cap, respect. Taco Bell could ruin me and put me out of commission for 2 weeks, and I'll remain loyal to them forever. But I wonder if that is what we're talking about here with Calvin Ridley. Hopefully he's out here soon. But no, in terms of today, it's exciting to be back out here to see players in action wearing the new jerseys for the first time in training camp.
Oh, you
and the
haven't
new
seen
helmets. But I don't expect us to learn anything today, and that's okay. Over the course of the next few days and weeks, maybe we'll start to pick up something.
Stick around for 3 hours. We're not going to learn bleep. Well, we'll maybe learn a little bit about Carnell Tate for sure.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
It's a nice setting up here, because it's always tough when you're interviewing guys off the practice field. You know, it's hot, it's sweaty, they've been yelled at, they've been coached up, they've been physical, they're going through all the different things, and then you come up here and ask them a bunch of questions. But the SeatGeek Terrace is a very favorable setting to be able to accommodate those interviews. So we will catch up with Carnell Tate at the end of practice today, which is somewhere in the noon hour. So throughout the course of this, we are going to start with Wet Powder Wednesday, right?
Let's do it.
Okay. We don't have any kind of imaging, right, to connote Wet Powder Wednesday? This is probably something I should have asked before the radio show started.
No, Bert could do something a cappella probably.
Well, he's not here. He's out there watching guys stretch, I think, at this point in time. In fact, I think I see him out there leaning up against the facility, acting like he's doing something. And over here doing his actual job. No, Robert is being very helpful in getting social media footage for us and for the radio station, since obviously we are limited from a mobility standpoint. As far as Wet Powder Wednesday goes, you want to explain the concept? Obviously, this is a tribute to the late and the great Coach Dave McGinnis.
Yeah, this is our first training camp without Coach Mack. So, obviously, Coach Mack always reminded us to keep our powder dry. And we started this game. We did it with Coach Mack quite often, where we told him what our powder was wet about, what we're overreacting to, what we're maybe prematurely excited about. So let's do a Titans training camp edition of Wet Powder Wednesday to honor our great friend, Coach Dave McGinnis.
You're getting gritted on in the background.
Oh, no, do it some more, Moan. I didn't see it.
You've been summoned. That's what he's doing on his phone very vigorously. Yes. Also, Big J, Ramon Foster heading down.
Are we still grittying?
Yes. Well, don't call him old.
Nice.
He's a lot bigger than you. So, yes, Wet Powder Wednesday. Things that we can say with reckless abandon about anything we want. But today, specifically, the topic will be Titans training camp and our expectations, our unrealistic expectations. Maybe they become realistic expectations by the time it's all said and done. What would you like to start with? What is your powder wet about? What's got you pasty today?
Shall we do it here? Or shall we do it next?
No, we can do that coming up next. 615-737-1045, the number, hanging out here at Titans training camp. What's the new name of this place? Vanderbilt
Health Football Center. I'm going to have to train myself because Nashville SC's facility is Vanderbilt Health Training Center.
I have Vanderbilt Health with all the money now.
So I'm going to be correcting myself constantly. But yes,
I think
VHFC.
I think I'm just going to call it the Titans practice facility. I've got Ascension St. Thomas Sports Park embedded in my skull from the last 11 years. Anyway, we will take your expectations. We will take your thoughts, your phone calls on Titans training camp. We will tell you what our powder is wet about coming up next.
A day at the spa, the perfect gift for birthdays, anniversaries, or any occasion. Lavish and luxurious, yet affordable. A grand gesture, yet simple for you. The gift card from A Moment's Peace. Give her the gift she won't buy herself. An escape, a bit of luxury. Something special that shows more than just words. A gift from A Moment's Peace Salon and Day Spa in Cool Springs across I-65 from Galleria Mall. Call 615-224-0770 or go online at amomentspeace.com anytime.
Welcome back to the show, fueled by Hattie B's Hot Chicken, the best hot chicken, and I mean that, the best hot chicken in the world. Lucas, they take the rookies on a tour, the Ultimate Nashville Tour, every time they get a new rookie class in the building here. I have not yet watched the video. I feel that they had to have taken them to Hattie B's. I know they took them last year to Hattie B's, and Femi Oladejo won the Shut the Cluck Up Challenge.
Femi
among the rookies
dusted his fellow rookies, and I think Femi also far exceeded what any of this year's rookie class did. So we can ask Carnell Tate about it when he joins the show, but I do think Femi holds that crown currently.
We will ask him about the experience because he will be on the radio show after practice concludes today. For what it's worth, just as a reminder, because it is important to remind you guys of these things just as far as what we can talk about on any given day, today is a day, Lucas, that there are no fans at training camp practice, which means that we will not be able to tell the audience what is happening on the practice field in real time according to the media rules. We will be on the air after practice is concluded, at which point we will update you on everything that we have seen from our vantage point of all three fields up here. But again, we will have days where we can update you in real time. We'll have Lucas do a little bit of play-by-play, as is the custom up here from the SeatGeek Terrace. Today is not one of those days on day one. Now, we mentioned that we were going to do a little Wet Powder Wednesday, the things that we are most excited about, the things that we do not necessarily have quantifiable evidence to support, but, it's okay to fly off the handle a little bit to start training camp. Would you like to start the bidding with what your powder is most wet about? Because it's a little humid up here. Today would be a good paste-making day.
Yes, my powder is moist about Carnell Tate. And we talked about this after the draft. Carnell Tate, to me, is as close to a can't miss because of the background that he is coming from. And that is typically an evaluation point, I think, to stay away from in NFL draft conversations, right? Just because one player was successful at a position from a certain school does not mean that every player of that position from that school will also have success. Unless you're an Ohio State wide receiver coached by Brian Hartline, who is no longer the wide receivers coach at Ohio State, but is now the head coach at South Florida, where he has replaced Alex Golish. I think Carnell Tate is immediately going to make an impact for this team. I know we flashed a bit at OTAs. We'll see what it looks like with that relationship on the field continuing to form and develop with Cam Ward in camp. But if I had to predict today, I think Carnell Tate is going to lead this team in receiving in 2020.
Lead them in receiving?
In 2026.
Now, wait. Lead them in yards, lead them in catches, lead them in touchdowns, or all of the above?
In at least two of the three.
Ooh.
Because
Krull, make sure you write this down, okay? I want to revisit these things after the end of the season. I think that would be a good exercise because that's not – I wouldn't say that it's the most bold of predictions, and that's not a knock. I'm just saying, I would have gone Wan'Dale Robinson because I think he's going to see a lot more volume than anything else. So what's your logic?
I could see Wan'Dale Robinson leading this team in catches and Carnell Tate leading this team in receiving yards and touchdowns as a big play threat. I think Cam is not going to be afraid to force feed the ball to Carnell Tate early and often, and we have yet to see a sample size of Calvin Ridley being healthy and being reliable for an entire season as a Titans receiver. I like that Calvin Ridley is back. Calvin Ridley, as Nick Suss was talking about with us in studio, when you watch him practice next to Carnell Tate, there's no question who is the better NFL player now. Calvin Ridley has been doing it for years. He's played at a high level. He's a more polished NFL player, but I am completely on board with the Ohio State wide receiver bandwagon. And Carnell Tate, everything that he has sort of expressed in terms of just how he carries himself, I think will mesh very well with Cam Ward. And my powder is extremely wet on Carnell Tate as the future wide receiver one for this football team.
So the immovable object versus the unstoppable force. The unstoppable force is the Ohio State wide receiver trend. The immovable object is the Titans' curse at wide receiver. So you're saying that he is going to be the thing that breaks the curse.
Yes, and this
Speaking
time
of cursed,
they give him the second contract.
You don't think they negotiate and trade this one to the Eagles? Before I get to mine, and I do feel the obligation now to go negative since you went positive, I do think you should update people on what happened in Carolina, speaking of cursed.
Oh, yeah. Chris Brazzell was carted off the field today in Carolina. So they've been practicing for almost a week now. They're playing in the Hall of Fame game, so they reported about a week earlier than everybody else. But the former Tennessee wide receiver carted off the field with an apparent knee injury. It's already been a nightmarish training camp, like within the first 7 days for the Panthers. And now add to that their rookie wideout, Chris Brazzell. And, man, you just hope that his season isn't over before it even begins for the third-round pick.
I mean, so that's a starting tight end. That's a potentially starting wide receiver for Chris Brazzell and a starting linebacker.
Yeah, a standout linebacker.
Yeah, who went down in literally the first day of training camp. Okay, so my powder is wet about the Titans' offensive line, but not in a positive way. I think this is going to be the worst Titans' offensive line that we've seen.
Since
ever.
I
think this is going to be the worst Titans offensive line unit that we've seen.
Now, that is an extreme statement. Like,
well, that's what we're doing today, right? That's what we're doing.
Fair enough. I'm over here already talking about Cardinal Tate's second contract.
Yeah, but if you get to do yours, I get to do mine.
Fair enough. But ever. And we've seen some
awful,
horrendously bad units.
Awful.
Ever.
Last year's was terrible.
Like, we've seen units without a single player that is like in the even in Peter Skoronski's hemisphere.
Yeah.
So
he's never been on a winning team, Skoronski.
Yeah, Northwestern football has not covered itself in glory.
Bless him.
But in principle, I agree with you. I think that is going to be the weak link on this team, and it's not going to be close. But
I think it's going to be the worst unit. Well, here's how I'm going to balance it, okay? I think it's going to be the worst Titans offensive line unit I've ever seen. Let me say that. In the last 11 years, this is my 11th season.
So you're saying you think Dan Moore is going to be worse than Dennis Staley and Andre Dillard?
I think the unknown, plus Dan Moore not being very good, the unknown at center, the unknown at right guard, the unknown at right tackle, right? We're talking about J.C. Latham not out here, and I think the challenge for J.C. Latham is to not let that early setback define him, right? That's the hope. And that should be the way that J.C. Latham approaches it. I'm sure that's how he is going to approach it. He's dealing with a pec strain. By the way, Mike Borgonzi said that he experienced that in last year's OTAs at the press conference, the pec strain. The correction was this year at OTAs. He did not do that a year ago and suffer through it. Point being, I think this is going to be the worst Titans offensive line unit I've ever seen. But I think Cam Ward is going to have a Joe Burrow sophomore-esque season behind a terrible, terrible offensive line unit, and that the skills and the skills that he brings to the table, plus the tools that Brian Dable and the coaching staff are going to give him, are going to help mitigate that. I don't think he's going to be sacked 55 times this year, but I do think that this will be a worse offensive line performance. I think he's going to clean it up. I think I have zero optimism about that offensive line unit. And pads, by the way, not for about a week and a half. As far as the offensive line competition goes.
Yeah, we haven't seen anything yet. So
For what it's worth, Joe Burrow started all 16 games in his rookie season, went 10-6. They did go to the Super Bowl that year, but he was sacked 51 times.
Yeah. They got to the Super Bowl in like the most unsustainable way possible.
9 sacks against the Titans, right? And it should have been 11 because 2 were wiped off due to penalty in that playoff game.
I'm trying. What year was Andre Dillard?
Dillard was 23.
I'm trying to find the depth chart for the Titans in 2023.
23, and NPF would have been there.
Yep.
Dillard would have been there. Who's the kid out of Maryland that they drafted that wasn't worth a damn?
Oh, Jalen Duncan.
Jalen Duncan. Yeah. Titans legend Jalen Duncan, who I believe is out the league.
So you're talking about, okay, yeah. So Andre Dillard, left tackle. Peter Skoronski, rookie at left guard. Aaron Brewer
before he was the best center in the world.
An elite center.
Literally.
Daniel Brunskill at right guard and Chris Hubbard.
That's right. Who was good? Tackle. Chris Hubbard was good until he got hurt.
Yeah, he got hurt.
Hubbard got hurt.
Then you had NPF.
Then you had NPF Duncan. Because that was the season that NPF missed a couple of games because of the suspension, and they had to end up putting him in. Yeah. I think in London when they played the Ravens, if my memory recalls. It was a very, very tough season. But I genuinely think that this is a terrible offensive line unit in the making.
So that's the O-line it's going up against, like player to player.
Oh, and I think if you go back a year, if you go back to 22, I might argue that it's worse. But Ben was on that. Ben Jones was on that unit.
Aaron Brewer was solid as a left guard for this team. Nate Davis was, serviceable at right guard. And NPF was not
he wasn't a disaster
as a rookie.
And he was indeed an atrocity for the remainder of his career. So also out the league.
2023, we can go player by player. Left tackle, Andre Dillard. 2026, left tackle, Dan Moore. Dan Moore, a better football player Like,
by a mile.
Miles better
Not even
than
close.
Andre Dillard.
Yep.
A rookie, Peter Skoronski, was the left guard in 2023.
And he might be great.
And in 2026, a Peter Skoronski making top 10 lists for interior offensive linemen.
Yep.
Aaron Brewer at center in 2023 compared to
Schlottmann,
who we believe to be Schlottmann at center in 2026. So who's better, 2023 Aaron Brewer or who do we think Austin Schlottmann?
Brewer.
Okay.
Brewer, they saw something. They just didn't have the tools to make it work.
Right guard, Brunskill, compared to 2026, either Volson or Slater. I mean, we'll see how it shakes out.
Brunskill is a higher end. Brunskill is who you want, right? Because he can play all 5 positions. Not well, but he can play them. God love him. He was that's one of the most miserable human beings I've ever been around, and who could blame him? That was a tough year.
And then Chris Hubbard at right tackle. I mean, we have to learn. We have a lot to learn about J.C. Latham.
I'm waiting for J.C. Latham to be good. So as I sit here today, again, I would love to be proven wrong. I think that I need to distinguish that as a position. This is not something that I'm wishing for. This is not something that I would like to see. Obviously, I would love to be proven wrong about thinking that this is the worst Titans offensive line unit that I've seen. But I'm concerned about a quarterback who at least the last time we saw him play NFL regular season games, Lucas, he makes it harder on the offensive line. He doesn't make it easier, right? We can agree?
Yeah, no, it's fair.
And so, again, I think
it's part of what can make him a really good player in this league.
At some point.
But yeah, I'm sure it's a tough adjustment for offensive linemen.
Yes, so I'm not completely killing the offensive line for their issues last year, but I do think that they had a better front 5 to start the season than they will to start this season, provided that they remain, knock on something, as healthy as humanly possible.
Asked Robert for his wet powder. He said, "My powder is wet from the bleeping heat. My back is visibly drenched."
It's not even hot today. It feels glorious today. This is the best possible training camp weather that you could have. It's 82?
Yeah, it's 81 degrees. We'll take that.
Hell yeah.
Robert's a sweater.
Well, yeah.
I mean, he sweats. Stoney is.
You're a sweater. You look fine.
Yeah, I'll sweat.
Hands up, arms up. No, you're good.
Stoney's in the F&M Bank chat says it'll be all right, y'all.
Well, and I trust Stoney's evaluation.
Stoney can tell me anything would be all right. Stoney can.
Very soothing tone.
Absolutely. Stoney should do audiobooks of bedtime stories.
Ooh, the Calm app. Do you know the Calm app?
Yeah.
I use the Calm app. It doesn't work. No,
Yeah.
I'm kidding. I would absolutely let Stoney Keeley read me a sleep story to try and help my sleeping problem.
But yeah, to your point, I went with wide receiver on the positive end. You went with offensive line on the negative end. We are more down on the Titans offensive line than we are up on the Titans wide receiver room, right? Understanding that the wide receiver room is marginally improved, but as exciting as Carnell Tate might be as a prospect, we still don't know. We still haven't seen it. We need to see what Calvin Ridley's availability will look like, how Wan'Dale Robinson will fit into this offense. Whereas for the Titans offensive line, there's just so many questions around Peter Skoronski, and they're going to have some tough days against this defensive line, man.
Well, and
throughout the course of camp.
Speaking of Ben Jones, he has texted us.
Yes.
We need to get Benny up here at some point.
I'm
sure he'll be around, right?
He's doing sideline reporter Ben Jones.
There's Calvin, by the way. As far as
you're allowed to say that,
I am allowed to say players that are doing. That's a good question.
Not Calvin Ridley. It's our friend
Calvin Johnson.
Calvin Matthews. He's an intern.
He's an intern. Sorry, I squirreled it. It's fine. A reacclimation process. Players have to get reacclimated with the scheme. Robert Saleh's got to look over his defense. I got to review the media rules. It's all good. All good. Ben has texted us, and Ben is doing. I'm not sure how many games for Titans Radio Sidelines he is doing, but Ben will be a part of that broadcast in some form or fashion in the final season of Nissan Stadium. He has texted us and says, hope going against, talking about the Titans offensive line unit, hope going against this defensive line all camp will make the season better for them. I'm excited for the Titans D-line. And that is a good wet powder, right? The Titans defensive line may be the best unit that we have seen as far as a defensive line unit in quite some time. What's the best Titans front 7 unit that they've had? It's probably 19, right? If you're looking at Casey, rookie Simmons, who else was playing defensive line?
I mean,
Wesley Woodyard was still there. D'Anico was still here.
Kamalei Correa gave them
Harold
something
Landry
in that postseason. Landry.
They had depth. They had top line players. 19 is probably the best unit that I've seen. Obviously, units with Curse and Haynesworth and all these Titans legends that you could go back across the decades with would be better but the 19 group was probably the best group that I have seen in my 10 seasons.
Probably.
This being my 11th covering the team. So I think that this could rival that unit, right? Because Jarrell was at the end of his career at that point.
Yep, Jeff at the beginning, Jarrell at the end. That's the last year that Jarrell Casey was a productive NFL player.
Yes, because they traded him to the Broncos for a 7th-round pick, and I think he played 2 games
Yeah, he
before
fell
he
off
hurt his neck.
immediately. Yeah.
Unfortunately for Jarrell. That's one thing that John Robinson probably doesn't get enough credit for, because they turned that 7th-round pick into a couple of different things as far as trading up in value for it. And not to, we don't need to revisit the John Robinson stuff, but John got killed for a lot of things. I think selling early on Jarrell, even though he was beloved, was a smart move at the time.
But personnel-wise, this defensive line probably brings as much excitement as it has since. Titans fans were excited about Jadeveon Clowney and Vic Beasley.
Well,
right?
but that ended up being, you remember what that ended up being? The worst third down defense in the history of the sport.
History.
Since the merger. So 1967.
Yeah. So when you talk about like training camp excitement, the Clowney, there was a whole offseason of Clowney talk. But
I said that was going to be the difference between them and a Super Bowl run. Clowney. I remember saying that.
But the personnel on this defensive line and the probably best play calling situation the Titans have had defensively, based on resume, since I don't even know when. Like Dick LeBeau's resume.
I might take Fisher, Heimerdinger.
Heimerdinger was offensive coordinator, but
who did? What was the question?
I'm saying this defensive line group, personnel wise.
I'm sorry, I thought you said coaching.
Yes, personnel wise, you feel like can be at a really high level, but it's paired with the best situation, coaching wise, on defense that they've had in a long time, based on resume. We'll see how the Saleh era works, how he blends defensive play calling with the duties of a head coach. But in terms of what Saleh's done in his career, when's the last time the Titans had a defensive play caller with a resume like Robert Saleh's?
Dean Pease would have been after Dick LeBeau.
Yeah.
That's probably the best too, right? Bowen was not great. Bowen wasn't the worst. And I blame Vrabel more for that 2020 defense than I do Shane Bowen, because if you'll remember, Mike was still calling the plays.
There wasn't a defensive coordinator.
They didn't name a defensive coordinator.
They didn't have one. And it was a disaster.
It was a weird circumstance that they had going. So I put that more at the feet of Vrabel than I do of Bowen. Bowen didn't cover himself in glory. Obviously, he's since been fired in New York. Did he end up in New England?
Oh, I have no idea.
without knowing for sure, I bet he's there.
I've not kept up. Not kept up with Shane Bowen.
Anyway, so I think that is a fair submission by Ben Jones. Now, I'm reading some comments in the F&M Bank chat. Carrot Top is back in the studio. He'll let us know if you guys want to chime in via the phone, 615-737-1045, if you have thoughts on Titans training camp, if you have something that you are excited about. Somebody on YouTube says the Julio Jones hype was crazy. Somebody also submits the 2021 foursome of Landry, Autry, Simmons, and Dupree. Bud was, I would have said Bud if Bud was healthy. Because when he was out there.
He was effective, yeah.
When he was out there, he was hugely effective.
Yeah.
But they got more out of Kamalei Correa in like a rental situation, basically. With that, did they trade with the Ravens for him at the midpoint of the season, or maybe before the season? I can't completely recall. But for me, Dupree gets knocked there because Bud ended up being much better when he went to the Falcons and then when he went to the Chargers.
Yeah.
But his, I want to say, 2-year stint here was more famous for his incident at the Rosa Parks Walgreens than it was for his accolades on the field, I might say. And I like Bud Dupree.
Speaking of edge rushers and camp injuries, if you weren't listening earlier, Chris Brazzell was carted off the field at Panthers training camp, was unable to put any weight on his left knee. Bad sign for the rookie third-round wide receiver out of Tennessee. Someone in the chat alerted us to this, that Shamar Stewart, the Bengals 2025 first-round draft pick at edge rusher, went down, tried to hobble off, favoring his left knee, ended up being carted off. So
apparently Shamar Stewart is also getting carted off in Cincinnati, their former first-round pick who has done.
And Tom Pelissero is reporting that multiple Indianapolis Colts.
Sorry, I was reading.
Oh, it wouldn't be a camp show. Camp show's just like the studio show. That's authenticity.
Well, it's now, we're comfortable.
That's wild.
Sorry. Anyway. 615-737-1045, the number. We are broadcasting live at Titans training camp. It is day one. Carnell Tate will join us in the noon hour. We cannot tell you specifically what's happening on the practice field because there are no fans in attendance. When there are fans in attendance for training camp, we will be able to inform you in real time what is happening. We will update you on everything that happened today in the noon hour before Carnell joins us after practice. So we're looking forward to that. I've gotten some insight on Carnell Tate. Big Love Island guy.
Okay.
Big Legos guy.
Yes.
So we have many high-level questions to ask him about Legos and Love Island. And I'm sure there'll be some football in the mix as well. You have SEC observations.
Yes, let's talk hot seat as we start to approach training camp at the college football level.
I'm Buck Rising. It's 104.5 The Zone.
Let's talk about SEC, baby. Let's talk about the SEC. Let's talk about
Kalen DeBoer
and Josh Heupel in the SEC. Let's talk about SEC, baby. Let's talk about the SEC. Let's talk about
Kirby Smart
and Greg Sankey in the SEC. Let's talk about SEC.
Let's talk about coaches under pressure. Now, there was a big wave of first-year head coaches into the SEC this year. So, naturally, the hot seat discussion isn't as rampant as it felt it was going into last year, where Billy Napier and Hugh Freeze and all of these coaches were under intense pressure heading into the final season. And ultimately, there were, if I remember correctly off the top of my head, 6 changes. And that includes Lane Kiffin going to LSU and Pete Golding getting elevated. But this is a year with a ton of first-year head coaches in the SEC. So, by nature, none of those guys are on the hot seat heading into year one. But what we're going to do here, because there's a few coaches facing significant pressure. Now, this is pressure in terms of whether or not they may lose their job after this season, right? Like, this is not Steve Sarkisian pressure. Steve Sarkisian, the expectation for Sark is to win the national championship. But if Texas loses in the college football playoff semifinal, Sark ain't getting fired, right? So we'll start with, and we're going to go by Hattie B's heat levels.
Oh,
here.
Perfect.
There's only one coach that is in a shut the cluck up heat level in terms of the hot seat under him. It is Shane Beamer at South Carolina, who went into last year with a talent roster that was as good as he had put together, that had college football playoff expectations that were just outside the top 10 in the preseason polls. They fall flat on their face. They go 4-8. They lost in every way possible. They lost in one-score games. They blew a giant, 25-point halftime lead against Texas A&M. They just found different ways to lose. It was a disastrous season that wasn't even completely hampered by injuries, right? It wasn't like Lenore Sellers went down in week 2.
Concussion at some point?
There were injury issues there, but at no point did South Carolina look like a team capable of getting to the college football playoff. They went 4-8 last season. So it's interesting because that flips around, and South Carolina does not have that college football playoff expectation that they had placed on them last year. The expectation level feels much lower because you're coming off of 4-8. Can you improve off of that? But they have a lot of the same core players that they had last year. They lost some guys, but Lenore Sellers at quarterback and Dylan Stewart at edge is one of the best quarterback edge rusher duos in the entire SEC. Nick Harbor coming back at wide receiver. Shane Beamer has to make a push here. And we had Josh Pate in studio yesterday, and Pate has sort of a refrain that he uses where he says, just because you have not doesn't mean you cannot, right? We do this a lot, that if coaches, let's say 4 or 5 years into their tenure, have come up close and have not gotten over that hump, people want them fired because they can't win the big one. But it doesn't mean that you won't win the big one when you keep chipping away. Ryan Day is the example of this, right? So, with that said, if Shane Beamer can't knock on the door of the college football playoff with this team, with Lenore Sellers and Dylan Stewart and these type of players from a talent perspective, then you'd be hard-pressed to have any confidence he's going to do it with another wave of players, right? As he heads into year 6 at South Carolina, Shane Beamer is under immense pressure at a program that, doesn't have the highest of standards in the SEC. South Carolina's not in the business of firing coaches because they're not competing for championships at the highest level. But coming off of 4-8 and that talent group coming back, you got to do something with that group this year.
How much better does that make you feel about Heupel in year 6, just as a parallel?
What do you mean?
Like the two of them?
Oh.
Because Heupel feels, again, this season is not a season with expectations, right? Like Heupel is not in, might you say Josh Heupel is at a medium level as far as the Hattie B's heat level goes? Not quite hot, not quite damn hot, not shut the cluck up.
Yeah, but like it's...
Let's say a medium.
Sure.
But he has recruited, his staff under him has recruited at a very high level in these last couple of years. And you're setting up for a situation where in 2027, again, 2026 is not a lost season. You want to compete. You want to see progress. You want to see growth, especially from the young quarterback, if the young quarterback is the player that they choose to start throughout the course of the season. But with David Sanders, that recruitment was a big win. offensive lineman of the future, with DGG.
Yep. Tristan Keys, the wide receiver, who's a true freshman this year. Yep, they've had some big wins.
If you're talking about DGG, right, that's the kind of player. Again, you don't want to get too ahead of yourself, and I'm stealing a line from Charlie Burris and Zach Reagan, but they're talking about him as if this is a player that could be, Heisman. This is a skill player, right?
Yeah.
This is a Heisman Trophy potential talent. So you don't get too ahead of yourself. I'm not saying that DGG is going to win the Heisman in his first year with Tennessee. That's not it at all. But the ascending trajectory of Josh Heupel and the talent base versus Shane Beamer, who does seem to have talent. God knows their defense.
Yeah.
How many defensive players from South Carolina are running around in the league right now?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I think that parallel is a good one for Vols fans to look and be like, okay, we may not be in a championship caliber position today, but look across and say at least we're not in that situation where we're having to reevaluate everything, because you can get a better Shane Beamer, right? It's not a Sark situation where Texas fires Sark. It would be tough to upgrade over Steve Sarkisian. Yeah. I don't think it would be that big of a challenge to upgrade over Shane Beamer if you were to take it seriously, if South Carolina is to take it seriously.
If South Carolina's in that 6-6, sort of a 7-5 range, then I think Shane Beamer's got to go, and you move forward with somebody that can get you to the college football playoff. If you're South Carolina, it would take a meltdown from the Tennessee side. It would take a meltdown of disastrous proportions for Heupel for there to be legit conversation about Heupel losing his job this year. Like, it would take, to me, 4-8, 5-7, right? No path forward at the quarterback position. Maybe they hit the portal. It would take an absolute meltdown for us to have that conversation around Heupel, because to your point, there's a lot to be excited about in 2027 if there is a trajectory and a proof of concept shown when the bullets start flying, when the ball gets kicked off this season. Second on this list, Jeff Lebby, putting him in the damn hot category. Jeff Lebby, Mississippi State. Nobody's talked about them for years at this point since the passing of Mike Leach,
to
be honest.
Blowing tremendous leads, right? I mean, that Texas?
Oh, yeah, they did blow a 17-point lead against Texas.
I mean, they were handling Texas. I want to say that was at home, too, in Starkville.
That was a crazy game.
Because that famous Brandon Walker video.
Yeah, it went to overtime. I had kind of forgotten about that. Exactly. So Jeff Lebby, there was progress. And make no mistake, Jeff Lebby took over one of the worst situations that I've seen a coach take over in the SEC in a long time.
You got to give him a little bit of grace.
First-year head coach, first-time head coach as well. So Jeff Lebby took over, and I mean, they had nothing going. They were so far short of the scholarship limit in that first year, and they go 2-10. They improved to 5-8. Now it's year 3, though. And as we've talked about, patience wears thinner quicker than it ever has in this era of college football. So if you're Mississippi State, bowl eligibility has to be a given. Now, they made a bowl game last year, despite being a 5-win football team. They went to the Duke's Mayo Bowl. They lost. But being 500 or better, to me, is a requirement in year 3 for Jeff Lebby. Camario Taylor is his quarterback. He's got that Heupel offense. He is a former Josh Heupel offensive coordinator from their time together at UCF. Camario Taylor stepping in, former 4-star prospect, flashed last year. Has to be improvement from Jeff Lebby. If we get another 4 or 5-win season from Mississippi State, wouldn't be shocked if there's a change there as well. And then, in terms of guys that are in immediate danger of being fired, there's not really a clear third after Beamer and Lebby. But we had this chat with Pate yesterday. Okay, who are the James Franklins, Brian Kellys of the world, right? Where we're not even...
We don't expect it. I don't know. Brian Kelly...
James
Franklin, I think, is different than Brian Kelly.
For sure. Like, this time last year, we didn't even fathom the idea that James Franklin would be, like, the first coach fired.
No, we were talking about potentially him winning a national championship.
That was his year to finally get over that hump, right? Brian Kelly, there was that sort of pressure, but we also didn't expect it to go as badly as it did at LSU, and for Kelly to be fired, massive buyout number. For me, and this is a coach that I think is maybe one of the top 5 coaches in the country, so I don't think this will be part of the conversation, but it is Kalen DeBoer, because if Alabama, and I'm not going to put him at damn hot, I'll put him at...
I think I might.
I'd put him at medium, honestly, thinking about hot, just because of the program that he is at. And Kalen DeBoer has to get Alabama back to championship contention in year 3. Patience will wear thinner there quicker than it will literally anywhere else in the country. That's just the situation that he walked into. He's got a quarterback battle ongoing now. But if Kalen DeBoer let's say, gets to the playoff and loses in the first round, Bama fans are going to want him fired. Like, that's just what the conversation is going to be in Tuscaloosa, even if his resume is as good as it's been.
And not like lose to Indiana, like lose it all.
I'd go one and done, maybe even two and done in the college football playoff. Not sniff an SEC championship. Bama fans are going to want him gone the way they wanted him gone after the Week 1 disaster against FSU last year.
I think that's fair, though. I think that's a reasonable reaction from Alabama.
They can't have that. Right?
That might be the only fan base. That might be the only time that I would agree with that fan base on a reaction, because to see what that Florida State team became is an embarrassment.
Exactly. Bama has to recapture an identity of running the football, of being a multi-dimensional offense, because they were the opposite of that last year. I think the rushing attack ended up ranking 125th in the country, something absolutely insane. They made a lot of moves in the portal for the offensive line, so should be improvement there. Hard to get much worse than last year. And again, I think Kalen DeBoer is an excellent head coach and will have Bama competing for national titles, but you got to start showing it this year.
Okay, very good. Those are the SEC observations. Again, we are live at Titans training camp. Training camp is currently going on. I'm going to remind you every segment, so forgive me if you've heard me say this before, because it will get redundant, but for people who are just now joining us, because of the media rules at practice, we cannot update you in real time because there are no fans at practice today. When there are fans, we can give you live updates. We will tell you everything that happened at the end of practice today, right before Carnell Tate joins us up here on the SeatGeek Terrace, where we are broadcasting live. Krull, what do we have to give away if people call us at 615-737-1045 and tell us what the dumbest thing in sports this week is? What do we have in the nebulous prize bucket back there?
We have 2 tickets to see Shabuzi at Ascend Amphitheater on September 18th.
That's a fun show. That'd be a fun summer show. That's a fun summer concert for sure, especially at Ascend. When's the last show you've seen at Ascend? Was it Creed? Surely not.
Lake Street Dive.
Okay.
I think that was after. It might have been Creed. I don't know.
I saw Rufus DeSoul there at some point last summer, which was excellent too. But Ascend, a great venue. Shabuzi, a fun time. If you want those tickets, 615-737-1045. Just call us in the next segment and tell us what the dumbest thing in sports this week is. It's getting hot. It's hot as hell, actually. And the last thing I want is for my AC to go out. But if it does, Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical is who I'll call. And you don't have to waste time waiting around for them to get there. When they're on their way for your appointment, you'll get a photo of the tech and a link to track them in real time, because the worst part of making one of those apartments is the window, right? You don't know when your technician is going to get there. They give you a 2-hour window. Sometimes they're there in that 2-hour window, sometimes not. That's never the case with Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical. They're an honest company. The price they tell you is the price you'll actually pay. No hidden fees or surprises when you get your bill. They're going to solve your problems quickly. 100% satisfaction guaranteed of happy you'll be, or the service is free. That's the Happy Hiller promise. So visit them online today at happyhiller.com.
11:03, good morning from Vanderbilt Health Football Center on day one of Titans training camp. I'm Lucas Panzica. The Titans are on the practice field for the first time in training camp under Robert Saleh. Things got underway with a presser yesterday where GM Mike Borgonzi stated that safety Amani Hooker is coming off the physically unable to perform list. Tackle J.C. Latham remains on the PUP list, but he is day-to-day with a pec strain. Elsewhere in the NFL, Eagles defensive lineman Jalen Carter inked a deal for him to pass Jeffrey Simmons as the highest-paid D tackle in NFL history, a 4-year, $152 million extension that includes $106 million in guaranteed money. Elsewhere in Carolina, Chris Brazzell, the rookie third-round wide receiver out of Tennessee, has been carted off the field with a knee injury. Speaking of the Tennessee Vols, the NCAA has suspended Tennessee linebacker Arion Carter for the first 2 games of the season, and it stems from what the NCAA is calling an impermissible benefit from Carter having his agent pay for a $400 flight during the pre-draft process before Carter withdrew from the draft and reimbursed his agent. Carter will miss the Furman and Georgia Tech games. For all your foundation repairs and waterproofing needs, visit USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your home for the Titans and Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone.
(615-737-1045) is the number. Call in and tell us what the dumbest thing in sports this week is. If you do that, you will have the opportunity to win 2 tickets to see Shabuzi at Ascend Amphitheater for his upcoming show. 615-737-1045. We will get to your phone calls momentarily. We are here at Titans training camp practice, and we'll get you updated on all things practice-related at the end of practice today. Carnell Tate will join us in the noon hour, so we're looking forward to that. That, of course, is not the dumbest thing in sports. The dumbest thing in sports this week, Lucas, is a reaction to a question that was asked of Robert Saleh and Mike Borgonzi yesterday at the Titans opening press conference of training camp. And the question was asked by Paul Kaharski. Kroll, can I hear the question, please?
I know you organizationally paid tribute to Chris Johnson in the last day or two. With him, with Tim Shaw, and then with people who have already suffered worse fates, Frank Wycheck had bad CTE. There are another 10 guys who've played for this franchise in the last 30 years who died prematurely, some presumably from football-related causes. I wonder if you both could talk personally about the idea. Yes, it's the job, but you're drafting and signing guys, you're sending guys out to quote-unquote battle who may suffer things in the course of their work that may lead to things like Chris is suffering now, and how that makes you feel.
That's the question. I don't need the response, okay? Because the question is a valid one, and the question was asked, Lucas. It's the last question of the press conference. It's not at the start. It's not, hey, happy training camp, welcome to training camp. Hey, tell me about your former players that have ALS and CTE and how you reckon with that. That's not the way that the press conference started, okay? It's the final question of the press conference, and it's a completely fair one. The dumbest thing in sports this week is the reaction that I saw to Kaharski's question. Braden Gall tweeted a picture of some of the comments of the live stream of the press conference yesterday, and I'll just read you a few. What a dog crap question from PK. What an insane question. WTF, Paul. Wow, what a downer, PK, on the YouTube comments from yesterday's press conference. If you are going to care about the players, actually care about the players, not pretend, then that's a fair question to ask. Hey, guys, how do you reckon with this? How do you reckon with this? Before you send these guys out there to do what it is that they're going to do that will cause them harm in some form or fashion. Maybe it's not ALS or CTE. Maybe it's a broken leg or a pulled hamstring or whatever. But when you have the severity and the increased percentage chance that professional football gives these guys of coming down with very serious diseases that are lifelong, okay, and can impact them in huge ways. Don't, as a fan, pretend to care about the players if you think that's an unfair question to ask at the very end of a training camp press conference of the two people who are running the football side of this organization. They handled it fine. Saleh and Borgonzi handled it just fine. It's a fair question to ask. They understand it's a fair question to ask. I was disgusted with how pathetic the response was to that yesterday. I couldn't have been more disappointed in the people that are simping for the NFL. They've got you right where they want you. Just give us our football. We don't care about the other stuff.
Yeah, Brent asks on the FNM Bank chat, he said, is it valid? What was the point, and what is PK trying to get out? Like,
they just did the ALS as an organization. They just did the Ice Bucket Challenge to commemorate Chris Johnson. So in the wake of that, it's fair to ask the question, hey, how are you reckoning it with these guys? Does it come up in your conversations? Do you factor that in, or do you just try to ignore it?
Yeah, it's a real conversation, right? Like that is not up for debate. Like CTE and the impact that it has for, again, like Saleh said, we all in this business know what we sign up for, which is a true fact. But CTE is a real conversation, right? Like the ALS stuff and it being linked to multiple pro football players. So, like, that's not a debate. That it is a real conversation, that these things, there are tons of examples of it impacting players later in life. So, knowing that, like having that as a fact that it's a real conversation, you either address it or you ignore it because it's uncomfortable to talk about and you want it to be out of sight, out of mind because you just want to have fun watching football. And it's okay to have fun watching football. It's not to say that, like...
No, I'm not shaming people for having fun watching football. I'm shaming people for pretending to care about the players and then getting uncomfortable and balking at a question that's specifically about players.
No, I think it's
I thought that was gross.
It's a huge topic right now. So, no, I couldn't agree more. My dumbest thing in sports this week is the NCAA. This thing with Arion Carter is insane. So, for those who haven't seen it, Adam Sparks is the one who broke this news of the Knoxville News Sentinel. We just had him on the show last week, that the NCAA has suspended Tennessee standout linebacker Arion Carter for 2 games for a $427 flight during the NFL pre-draft process. So basically what happened, people probably remember Arion Carter, local guy, Smyrna High School, declared for the NFL draft last year. He declares for the draft. During the pre-draft process, his agent booked a flight for him to visit an NFL's pre-draft facility, an NFL team's pre-draft facility, paid $427 for the flight. Again, this is in a point in time when Arion Carter thought he was going into the NFL draft. Then as he got into the process, he realized that he wasn't going to be healthy enough to be drafted or to play, really, for a huge chunk of his rookie year, decided to withdraw his name from the draft and go back to Tennessee, and he reimbursed his agent the $427. But to the NCAA, it's still a violation because he got an impermissible benefit and basically got a benefit that would go to a professional player. Even though at the time that it happened, he was in the mindset of a professional player because that was the decision he had made, and he went back on the draft, which is his prerogative to do, and reimbursed his agent. And the NCAA decides, after the last few years of this entire mess that we're in college athletics, that this is going to be the spot that they're going to try to bring the hammer down on $400 for a guy that is making, I don't even know how much money Arion Carter is
More
making.
than $427.
More than $400. 6 figures,
that
$1 million.
That he paid back.
Absolutely insane. You talk about unserious. Like the NCAA desperately trying to hang on to a thread of being a meaningful organization. They actually handed down a 3-game suspension for Carter. Tennessee appealed it, and they knocked it down to 2. So as it stands, Arion Carter will miss the opener against Furman and the Week 2 matchup at Georgia Tech in Atlanta. Josh Heupel has put out a statement, obviously backing Arion Carter. The NCAA put out a memo saying you, your family, or your friends are not permitted to receive any benefits from an agent. Examples of material benefits include money, transportation, dinner, clothes, cell phones, jewelry, etc. Please note that benefits may also include, but are not limited to, activities such as tryout arrangements with a professional team and coordinating tryout schedules. Like, that's fine, but can we exercise like an ounce of common sense here. It's just insane. Tennessee has a deep linebacker room. Arion Carter is an important player.
That's not the point.
It's not the end of the world. Like, Tennessee could probably find a way to beat Georgia Tech without Arion Carter, and it's good that he's not missing any SEC games or anything.
What if they don't, though?
My goodness.
What if they don't? What if the backup to Arion Carter lets a running back slip through on 3rd and 1 for a game-winning touchdown or something like that? You know what I mean?
So absurd. So absurd.
615-737-1045. If you give us the dumbest thing in sports this week, we'll give you 2 tickets to see Shabuzi's upcoming concert at Ascend Amphitheater. Kroll, who's up first?
We got Daryl in the borough.
Okay, Daryl in Murfreesboro. Go ahead.
Hey, how's it going, guys?
Well,
I'd say the dumbest thing in sports is from the Tigers and the Orioles game where the entire grounds crew was having to chase a squirrel all over the field, and the play-by-play announcers were actually giving a play-by-play the entire time for the squirrel during the game, and they had to pause it for like 10 minutes. But literally the entire grounds crew was chasing the squirrel all over the place, and they couldn't catch it, but they did finally get it.
Thank you for the call. Remember to stay on hold for the opportunity to win those tickets. Did you see the video?
No.
You know what it reminds me of? You remember Jackrabbit Jenkins? Corner was here for a couple of years, obviously had a decent NFL career. Not here, but elsewhere. Jackrabbit is from a place called Pahokee, Florida. You know why they call him Jackrabbit? Because in Pahokee, Florida, they chase jackrabbits through cornfields barefoot in order to prepare for football.
That's kind of awesome.
That's what it reminded me of. Like, none of you could be NFL athletes. You can't catch that squirrel, much less in a cornfield. Jackrabbit put you all to shame.
That
made me laugh. That's a good submission. Yeah, they made that's good for the squirrel. Good for the squirrel. Viva la squirrel. All right, who's next?
We have Oz in Gallatin.
Oz, go ahead.
Yeah, my dumbest thing in sports is Anthony Smith, the UFC fighter, getting arrested for a domestic assault and terroristic threat.
Oh.
I think something else as well, but I couldn't remember.
His name's Anthony Smith?
Yeah.
Okay,
He's a UFC fighter.
I'm not familiar, but I'm looking at the news story now. Thank you for the call, Oz. Okay, sets bond for former UFC fighter arrested in Gretna. I'm pulling up the article now. My Wi-Fi is being a little bit slow. But, yeah, anytime you have a domestic violence situation, that is certainly frowned upon. What qualifies as terroristic threats? I'm not quite certain. This is taking some time to load. Okay, a former UFC fighter who fought out of Omaha appeared in court Wednesday on domestic violence charges. Anthony Smith was arrested on attempted first-degree domestic assault, terroristic threats, and first-degree false imprisonment. A judge set his bond at $500,000. Okay. So, yeah.
That's it. That's all the info.
Just a terrible human, it appears. So, very good. Kroll, do we have any more?
We have one more. Matt in Virginia.
Go ahead, Matt.
Hey, fellas, I was going to use the Arion Carter thing, but the other dumbest thing in sports this week is those Bills helmets.
Oh.
Yeah, they're rough.
The Bills helmets are brutal.
That was wild.
Yeah, I think that's completely fair. I'm going to go with Daryl in Murfreesboro because the squirrel made me laugh. Squirrel making a bunch of security guards look foolish made me laugh, but it's a good submission by Matt. Those Bills uniforms, objectively, you don't even have to care. Speaking of dumbest thing in sports, you want to talk about FIFA at all? I know we're past the.
What an just shocking, like just how on the
Before
nose.
I go to break, I would like to give you a last. This is your daily taste of soccer content. Go ahead and tell people what the hell's going on.
For those who have missed it, FIFA, Johnny Infantino.
Thank you all for calling, by the way.
Yes.
Every Wednesday at 11 o'clock, we have prizes for the dumbest thing in sports.
The president of FIFA. And I'm just going to read straight from the front office sports headline. FIFA wants to sell a stake in World Cup profits to private investors in a multi-billion-dollar deal that is sending shockwaves throughout the soccer world. Basically, Gianni Infantino, the FIFA president, sent a memo to all 221, whatever it is, of FIFA's member institutions, to countries around the planet, saying, hey, this is happening. If you get on board, you will get, I think it was $40 million, essentially. If you're not on board, you don't get that $40 million. Basically, again, FIFA, I remind folks, is a nonprofit. Literally, they're trading the World Cup as an asset and bringing private investment into the World Cup so Gianni Infantino can make his billions of dollars. And yes, FIFA's sort of governing bodies around the world would also get that money. But, man, it would just be it would be an absolute sham of what is supposed to be the world's game. And you talk about opening Pandora's box on what that could mean, where suddenly private investors have control over the FIFA World Cup. I mean, then what are we talking about? Like basically just turning the World Cup into a Super League? Like let's just go get the best, the 20.
They kind of tried that with EPL, right?
They tried that with European soccer. So there's been more outrage on this situation.
Not just EPL.
Like this is the most outrage there's been for something like this since the Super League stuff, which got nixed because of the backlash. And there's something similar here. Like UEFA had an emergency meeting today with all of its member institutions, and
that's all they put out a statement.
They're threatening boycotting the 2030 World Cup. UEFA is the governing body for European soccer.
Yeah.
Every nation in Europe threatening to boycott the World Cup if this is something that happens. Like the shameless, on-the-nose corruption from Gianni Infantino and FIFA has reached just levels that, I mean, Sepp Blatter makes Sepp Blatter look like a saint.
What do you make of Sepp Blatter, though, tweeting through it?
He's tweeting through it.
He's tweeting commentary about how corrupt FIFA is after being Sepp Blatter.
Yep. Yep.
I love that.
Yep. There's so many layers to this. And one of the investors
that's spectacular.
Happens to be a Kushner, the brother of Jared Kushner, the son-in-law of Donald Trump. So there's all these ties here that are linking FIFA to governments around the world and like filling pockets and basically making a mockery of a sporting event that means so much to billions and billions of people. Just an absolute sham and embarrassment. I'm encouraged by the amount of backlash, though, and how governing bodies around the world are stepping up to this saying, no. Like, we're not going to be a part of this. And so we'll see what happens from there.
I'm not going to, again, this is not a political show, but this is sports and politics intertwining, so I feel that this is comfortable subject matter. I'm not going to pretend like Donald Trump is the first corrupt politician that we have had in the United States of America. Okay, there's corrupt Democrats, there's corrupt Republicans, there's corrupt Libertarians, there's corrupt everybody, right? But he's kind of the most comfortable with it out in front. He seems to be the most comfortable doing that kind of business in broad daylight, which makes you laugh a little bit and then makes you sad.
Like the World Cup and private equity should never be in the same sentence. And Gianni Infantino, like, not even like under the radar, like basically saying, hey, this is something we're going to do. Isn't this great for everybody? Yeah. We're going to pour the money back into the game. This is going to help you. Okay, stop it.
Private equity should be nowhere near college football, right? Utah's being run by private equity.
That's where we are.
NFL teams are invested in private equity, or vice versa.
It's
anyway,
just a sham. By the way, Poch looks like he's coming back to coach the U.S. men's national team.
A
lot of scuttlebutt about that.
I feel like the casual American soccer fan, myself, is excited about that. I feel like people who have a greater depth of knowledge of Pochettino's record in big games are probably questioning that, yes?
I'm conflicted.
Okay, very good. And we can circle back around to that at a later date. We are here at Titans training camp. The reason we are talking soccer in the middle of Titans training camp is because we cannot update you on things that are happening until the end of practice, which will be within the next 40 minutes. So don't you worry. We'll get you caught up. Carnell Tate will join us up here on the SeatGeek Terrace, and we'll talk to the 4th overall pick about his first training camp practice as a Tennessee Titan. Let's get into some Titans questions to answer at training camp coming up next. Live from the Titans practice facility, I'm Buck Rising. It's 104.5 The Zone.
We were having this discussion in the break. There's not a music industry that runs songs into the ground more than the country music industry, yes? Like, not even close. I don't know if that's one of the songs that they ran into the ground. Miles on It by I can't remember the name of the artist. But
are we on the air?
We're on the air.
Oh, okay.
We were having this discussion. Like, is there a song of the summer? Like, what was the song of the summer? And you said Choosing Texas by Ella Langley, which you're right. Great song. But, man, they run those things into the ground, right? Like, what other industry just goes at it
Us.
with one song?
Play the hits.
Yeah.
On Titans football.
Yeah, fair enough. Well, we are out at Titans training camp, and we are fueled by Hattie B's Hot Chicken, and we have nothing but questions right now. We don't have answers, and we'll get some answers throughout the course of camp. Of course, no real answers until the bullets start flying when the season kicks off against the Jets in September. But to start off here on day one, what is the biggest question to be answered at training camp? Like,
training camp writ large, not day one. Okay.
Yes, like not the biggest question for the 2026 season, but what's the biggest question that we have in terms of what we're watching for at training camp that we will hopefully not have an answer of, because we don't have an answer until the games start, but have a better idea of right before that Jets game?
This is probably a blanket statement that you could say of any team, but I mean, for me, it's how quickly are they picking it up, right? Like how much is retained? What is the learning curve for? I mean, it's mostly the offense, right? How much was Brian Dable able to get installed throughout the course of the offseason process? How studious were the offensive players in the 40 days is the longest layoff we've had between spring and training camp in so long, Lucas, because of the new NFL schedule, the fact that we're having the damn Super Bowl on Valentine's Day. Have you told Megan yet?
That the Super Bowl's on Valentine's Day?
Yeah, I don't know if you are Valentine's Day people. I imagine women across the country, significant others across the country are going to be upset about that.
Yeah, it's not ideal, but it's worth having that day off the following Monday. I would be coming
to
back.
whom?
Yeah, fair enough. I would be coming back so out of shape from that 40-day break.
Because what do we do during the summer break when there's not football? I eat and drink and smoke and all this crap, and you come back and you got to pull yourself out of a summer vacation hole.
Nobody talks about that. Like that, maybe that might be one of the hardest things to do as a professional athlete is like in the downtime, enjoy yourself and unplug while still staying in shape. Like,
go to Cabo and not have 7,000 margaritas.
Like you still got to, do your conditioning and all. Like that's tough, man. That's tough. But anyway.
So to me, it's very base level. It's very obvious. But to me, it's okay to start with the obvious because the obvious is also the most important thing. How much is it clicking? And how soon can it click? Because Lucas, if they come out and lose to the Jets week one, okay? Like, it doesn't define their entire season. It does not mean that it's over on what is their first game? September the 9th, September the 11th, something like that? Somewhere in there.
13th?
Something. The second week of September. If they come out and lose to the Jets and they look kind of clunky, we're going to kill them. We are on air. We're going to bury them. If they come out and lose to Geno Smith and Aaron Glenn and
Saleh's former team, the whole deal.
Because New York is having the same conversation. You can lose every other game. Don't lose to Robert Saleh. Don't lose to the guy that never made the playoffs and never did better than 7-10 here. Right? That's the same dialogue that's being had. If they come out week one, it is such a critical tone setter for the rest of their season, even if the season improves down the line. They can look sluggish a little bit. They can come out slow, as every NFL team does, right? It usually takes about a month before we learn, okay, who are the haves and who are the have-nots. Lately for the Titans, it's like, okay, well, week two, this is not going anywhere of consequence. But for them, I mean, they have to win week one. They have to look like a professional operation in week one.
Yeah, if they were to lose week one, there would be one of the biggest overreactions, and it would be an overreaction because, like you said, it would not define their season. But that's just the nature of it. Like that's just what this is, right? It would be probably the worst post-week one vibes here since
because
when? I don't even know. I mean, that 23 Saints game was rough.
The 23 Saints game was rough because it was so winnable.
Yeah,
and Tannehill had a bad interception game. Yeah. It was not as consequential as the Bengals playoff game, but same vibes, right?
No, I'm talking about week one. Like, it would be the worst.
I meant the Tannehill performance in week one against the Saints.
Yeah.
I will submit the home opener in, I don't remember the year.
22 against the Giants.
The 22 against the Giants game was not great, but I don't know. The Giants, Saquon Barkley had it was one of the great Saquon Barkley Giants performances. I want to say it was a week 3 game when they retired Eddie and Steve's jersey, and the field caught on fire, and they lost to the Colts. I want to say it was a week 3 game. I don't remember exactly the season, maybe 19, maybe 20. No, not 20 because there were fans in the stand, many fans in the stand. So I bet that was 18 or 19 if I had to take a guess. The vibes were bad. Vibes were not great around that situation. Again, it does not have to define their season. It is not the end-all, be-all week 1. But for this team and the purposes of narratives, and do you want to capture people's attention? Do you want to show them that you're real? Do not lose to the Jets. Did you see the Plaxico Burress quote?
Yeah.
About playing for the Jets?
That's a crazy quote.
That's what you're talking about. You are in the same class as them until you prove otherwise here of late. The Raiders, the Browns, the Titans, the Jets, the Giants are all being discussed as being around the same competitive level.
Cardinals.
These last couple of years, the Cardinals, the Dolphins have been more competitive. This year, the Dolphins are likely to drop into that bottom feeder tier. But I'm having trouble finding the Plaxico Burress quote, but basically he said that it was a similar experience. Oh, here it is. Plaxico Burress compared playing with the Jets to prison. This is courtesy of Underdog NFL. They're both kind of similar because when I walked into prison on my first day, I was like, damn, man, you an effing loser. And I had the same damn feeling every day I walked through the door with the Jets. Your everyday experience is to feel like it's your first day in prison.
Which he said that he played for the Jets in 2011. So, they were not that far removed from the back-to-back AFC
No, they were solid. They were solid.
That is wild.
So that is who you're talking about, okay? That's why it matters for them to have a seamless, or again, it doesn't have to be perfect. It will never be perfect, but it has to be a winning product. And you have to show signs of, okay, that's something I can buy into. I can buy into Brian Dable and Cam Ward. I can buy into Robert Saleh calling the defense. No mental miscues. You need to have a clean operation because what defined week 1? A not clean operation, right? Brian Callahan and Rob Ryder botching the Alec Iamander catch that should have been a catch but wasn't called a catch and wasn't challenged.
Well, I do compare, if you want to sit here and look at the hypothetical of the Titans losing to the Jets in week 1, yes, there would be a huge overreaction. Yep. Yes, it would be a terrible look. But I kind of look back at the Patriots last year in week 1. Who did they lose to?
The Raiders.
The Raiders.
Yes.
Quarterbacked by Geno Smith.
Yes.
The pitiful, sad Raiders who haven't won anything in however many years, and the Patriots lost. And
it's arguably the worst team I've ever seen in my life is that Raiders team.
And the Raiders did go on to be the worst team in the NFL to earn themselves the number 1 overall pick. Patriots went on to go to the Super Bowl. That's not to even remotely say the Titans are a Super Bowl team in 2026, but it is to say if you need any proof that no matter how bad the optics of a loss, when the schedule came out and immediately, that's a must-win game. Yeah, it is. So, in terms of the vibes, but it's also not because we just saw what happened with the Patriots. They lost to that terrible Raiders team in the first game of the Vrabel era, clearly still getting adjusted, and then went on to do what they did.
But they're in a different situation. They are always going to have people's attention. The Titans have to fight and scrap and claw for people's attention.
But
attention economy doesn't matter.
Yeah, we're talking about things that matter, though. I'm not talking about how many people talk about them on podcasts.
I do think it matters for them to be taken seriously because how many people take them seriously the last couple of years? They barely feel like an NFL franchise the last 3 years.
Yeah,
they need to be taken seriously.
The attention thing is not even in
attention is the wrong word. Attention is the wrong word. To be taken seriously, to be a professional NFL organization for the first time in 4 years. Matters.
Yeah, you just do that by winning games, though. I don't really care about that.
Yeah, so beat the Jets. So beat the Jets. Have a clean operation. Be buttoned up. Make sure it works. Beat the Jets.
Caleb on the FNM Bank chat says that his biggest question that may not be answered during training camp is how good or bad the right side of the O-line will be.
No, I think we'll know. I think we'll know as soon as the Seahawks come in here for joint training camp practices. Assuming the guys are healthy and Latham and, let's say, Volson for the time being. Volson, Slater, whoever the hell, Andre James, I don't know if he's ever played guard, he's played center. But whoever is starting at right guard by that point in time, you will know, I think, by the preseason joint practices with Seattle.
All right, what else? What other questions could we get a semblance of an answer during training camp? We understand the offensive line is a massive concern, and we're going to be
Okay, easy one. Who's his favorite target?
yeah.
Who's his favorite target? Who makes him? Who puts him at ease? And how real is that, Lucas? Because would you not agree? Prior to the knowing we have the results in hand of last season, so we know that this did not play out this way. But would you not say that we felt good about the Calvin Ridley Cam Ward connection in training camp?
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
100%.
Right?
Last year,
that was like one of those lies that training camp tells us.
Yes.
Because week 1, what did he do? He was nightmarish against the Denver Broncos. And that was before the injuries started to strike him down, hamstrings and the broken leg at the end of the year. So who is his favorite target? How comfortable, what is the setting of that? Is that Calvin Ridley deep? Is that Wan'Dale Robinson underneath? Is that Gunnar Helm in checkdown situations? What does that look like for Cam Ward? Who is his favorite target, and how well does that translate to week 1? Now, so to your point, we may not get the answer because we thought we had the answer. It's like, oh, okay, Calvin Ridley, Cam Ward, this should work.
but that was kind of a situation where, at least to me, like Calvin Ridley didn't hold up his end of the deal.
No,
Like-
for sure.
Like training camp, we're excited about that connection, and then week 1 comes around. And it's dropped balls at critical points of the game, right? Where
It's Cam Ward's dad, right?
Yeah,
It's
like stooped over
am I on camera?
the
I can
the
do
rail
the,
in the stadium.
Just like
Yeah, doing basically his. We've all been there.
terrible body language.
It was a very
pacing
relatable
around
moment.
in the stands,
Like
mile high.
That's been all of us in our living rooms at one point or another watching our favorite teams, regardless of sport.
Yeah.
But it was Ridley that not Cam that didn't hold up his end. It was Ridley that didn't hold up his
No,
end.
and I hope that it didn't sound like I was alleging that it was Cam
Yeah.
that didn't hold up.
But
that
yeah,
end.
but
like who is his favorite target?
But that is the question. Like, does that translate over to the regular season? But yeah, that is something that we can actually have proof of concept on. Especially, I love that they're doing 3 joint practices, man. I love it. Like, they've never done that before as
That's
a franchise.
new. Yeah.
It's very rare for teams to do that. But
They need it.
I love the juice that will bring. Us selfishly when we're out here watching, like
Sure.
just how much more you can learn about how a team's going to respond when they're not hitting each other and they're playing like competitive teams on the other side. Teams that all 3 of them are expected to do something this year.
Chicago, Seattle, and
San Francisco.
San Francisco, it's just 1 day of joint camp for what it's worth. But I believe the rest of it is 2 days of joint work here in Nashville per team that will be arriving. So, yeah, these are all playoff teams. You get a chance to measure yourself. Was that last year or 2 years ago when the Seahawks came to town? I want to say 2 years ago.
I think it was 2 years. Yeah,
'Cause remember-
Levis was the starter.
Well, Levis was the starter, but remember, we were like, okay, Calvin Ridley, first year. Maybe this is something that can happen. And then Devin Witherspoon and Reek Woolen shut his ass down so fast in ways that were jarring. And you're like, oh, okay, maybe this is not as promising in 2023 as we were previously led to believe.
Let's continue to answer questions.
We can certainly do that coming up next. If you guys have questions that we could talk about or questions that you have about the Titans training camp, the players involved, the coaches involved, the way that this thing will operate, questions that you would like to see answered, you are always welcome to call us, 615-737-1045. You are also more than welcome to chime in the F&M Bank chat where the show is being live streamed today, where you will soon see Carnell Tate up here with us. The number 4 overall pick in the draft at wide receiver is on the show to start our training camp interview series. So we look forward to talking to Carnell. We'll continue to talk about Titans training camp questions to answer coming up next.
What's happening? What's happening, good people? Let me go on and tell you while you're walking into your weekend what you need to be looking for. That is a truck. Yeah, Mid-10 Ford, they got you covered. They're going to take care of you. All you got to do is slide in there and let them know, hey, man, Big Slay told me. And they will look out for you. Go in there and holler at my guys, Trey, Matt. They're going to be right there to help you walk through the process of going to get your truck. And guess what? It's nothing that's going to be pressure, no high pressure, just low pressure approach, no gimmicks, no pushy sales tactics. That's not what they're about. They're about getting the job done and getting you comfortable and understanding exactly what you're getting into. It's a one-stop shop. If you need service, Mid-10 Ford, they got you covered. They are the ones you need to be looking for. When it comes to the right vehicle, they got you covered. Even a body shop, service, financing, sales, they got it, all of that. All you got to do is go to 1319 Foster Avenue. Visit mid10fordtrucks.com.
Training camp questions to be answered over the course of the next few weeks. Some are obvious, some not so much. We've talked about Cam Ward establishing connections with his favorite targets. Who will those names end up being by the end of camp? Obviously, the offensive line is a huge point of concern for this team and how that depth chart kind of shakes out. So if Cam Ward and his wide receiver unit are 1A, offensive line being 1B, what is number 2 in the list of most important questions going into Titans training camp?
You know, I don't want to go to defense because I don't necessarily have a burning question on defense. Do you have high expectations of them defensively across the board? I don't think that's a secondary that I'm not impressed, right? Like Alontae Taylor and Cordell Flott and Marcus Harris are TBD. We'll see how that plays out. And they had to sign corners, right? L'Jarius Sneed was god-awful, a war criminal borderline. They needed to get him the hell out of here.
And you're one injury away from being in a really bad spot at
now,
corner.
The way that you make up for that is by having a gnarly pass rush that makes it a lot easier for these guys in coverage. So maybe that alleviates some of your concerns, but I guess how real is the pass rush? How real is the pass rush? Because that will allow you the most amount of buffer for a linebacker group that is Cedric Gray is an ascending player. Cody Barton is a known commodity. We'll see what happens with Anthony Hill. Those are your top 3 by any measurement right now. We don't expect there to be a lot of consternation around how the linebacking group plays out. But I guess the third question the second question that would pop immediately into my mind is, okay, there's been a lot of hype around the defensive front. Is the hype real?
Yeah.
Because they will need that. That's their best chance to be special, right? It's Jeff, it's JFM, it's a number of different players that you will have to make sure that you can platoon in a reasonable way. We'll see what becomes of Femi Oladejo, as far as his contributions go. It's Jermaine Johnson, those guys who have pedigree, who have brand equity in the league, who have been high-level players at relative points in their career. How real are they?
Yeah, without having, other than Jeff, the Titans don't have an elite pass rusher on this team, right? Like, there's not a, take your pick, a Will Anderson, a Daniil Hunter, Nick Bonito, but they just seem like a well-rounded unit, and they're deeper than they've been in quite some time. So if Femi does provide something, then you're talking about feeling pretty good about a unit that has a guy like Jermaine Johnson that has worked with Robert Saleh, a high-ceiling talent like Keldrick Falk, who you just drafted in the first round and will be expected to show something in his rookie year, who is not as raw as Femi was coming into his rookie year last year. All of that complemented by a defensive line that is easy to get excited about, the JFM and Jeffrey Simmons pairing. At the very least, this should be a well-rounded and well-coached unit, right? Which is something to get excited about with a...
I do trust the coaching.
With an elite of the elite level player like Jeffrey Simmons as the centerpiece.
I do trust the coaching as much as you can without seeing a sample size of them collectively working together. So we'll see how that plays out. Now, practice has officially concluded, so we will get you updated on everything happening on the practice field. Big J Journo Burt is on his way up here to make sure that we can get all the ins and outs. It looked like it started a little slow, as to be expected. You noticed a nice ball completed to Carnell Tate that ended up going for a score. I believe it was a comeback route.
Yeah, outran half the defense.
So there's a number of different things that we'll be able to talk about, react to. Burt was bouncing around to various position groups. We're obviously here at training camp practice. We are up high on the SeatGeek Terrace, and they were practicing on Field 3 today. Field 1 is the closest one to us. So numbers were a little bit difficult to read. Robert will give us more specifics in just a moment. Carnell Tate will also join us at some point up here whenever he is finished with his post-practice routine. I'm not sure what that looks like for the young man, but we'll look forward to talking to Carnell Tate about his first Titans training camp practice. My God, you weren't kidding about sweating through your shirt.
Hey, that's
holy hell, brother.
That's a working man right there.
Come on over here. Work a little harder. You're not done working.
Blue collar Burt.
No. Other side. No, that's my water. That's sparkling water. No, you can't have the nice water. We'll get you the poor water here in a second.
I'll take a garden.
that would be
awesome.
Full football practice. There's no doubt about that. Robert has been down there providing boots on the ground reporting.
Jeffrey Simmons is getting ready to step up to the podium if we want to carry any of that before Carnell makes his way up here.
Well, Robert, what was your biggest practice observation, if you would?
Ooh, I'm kind of scared. They've already been laying the hammer down on people down there.
Well, that's because the rules were broken, Zach. What do you mean? Read the media policy one time. I read the full 3 pages yesterday.
Okay,
Get out of here.
So to be safe.
No, apparently not.
To be safe, I'd like to read my notes to you guys before I present anything. So I'll stick to this. These are songs to describe people's practices.
Oh, I like that.
You know what? I changed my mind. I'd rather hear from Jeffrey Simmons.
No, this is way better. He's not up.
He's not up yet. Let me indulge.
Yes, please.
Very good.
So if I had to describe Cam Ward's practice with a song, I would say Billy Joel's For the Longest Time. Because if you... For the longest time. Because if you're any other Titans quarterback, you're going, I wish I had more time. Cam did not always have the prettiest pocket, but he definitely had the best pocket to work with out of all 3 of the Titans quarterbacks.
Oh, that's a good descriptor.
Are you allowed to tell us who was starting at right tackle?
No.
No, you're not.
No.
That was a test. You passed.
Good. I don't think I had that anyway. Jeffrey Simmons. He is up to his old bag of tricks. I would say let the bodies hit the floor. No one is safe, not defensive linemen, not offensive linemen, not these pads that they block, not the sleds, not the grass, not the uprights. Nothing out here is safe from Jeffrey Simmons. He is as advertised, and he is ready to. Is Buck ready?
For what?
Safe from Jeffrey Simmons.
As long as you stay up here, buddy, I think you'll be safe.
You two are so dramatic.
I think you'll be safe. Jermaine Johnson.
I'd win again.
Jermaine Johnson may have been the most impressive newcomer on the field today, not named Carnell Tate for me.
Okay.
Jermaine Johnson, Speed King by Deep Purple. There were some reps where the guy that was supposed to block him did not even touch him. He was just getting into the backfield. The speed looked incredible. He looked very fit, very long, strong, down to get his pass rush on. That's what you wanted to see from Jermaine Johnson. You saw it today. Dan Moore on the other side of that spectrum. Slippery when wet. because he had a little trouble getting his hands on some people during these drills. Dan Moore did not have his best practice, but he was out there nonetheless.
You want to roll on Jeff as opposed to carry it
let's
live?
roll on Jeff, and then we can carry it off the top.
That's
next.
fine.
Yeah.
That's not reassuring. Dan Moore, just the Dan Moore experience, not remotely reassuring.
Which is also troubling because the entire offseason we've talked about the right side of the line being the issue. The center, the right guard, the right tackle, the issues that come with those three positions. You would hope that he was a little more of less of a statue, but it is the first day of training camp. We'll give these guys a chance to grow into their positions.
My wet powder, Robert, is this will be the worst Titans offensive line unit I've seen in 11 years.
Wow. That is saying something.
Well, his was Carnell Tate will break the Titans wide receiver curse. I don't know which one's more extreme, but
okay, well, I'll go to Carnell Tate next. I Am What I Am by Gloria Gaynor. He is as advertised. What you thought coming into this was exactly who he was today. Made great plays. I don't know if I'm allowed to say how he caught the ball.
You can don't give me specific routes, but you can.
You already did.
I already did.
We'll wait. Oh, okay. Well, I will stay away from that to save us some egregiousness. But Carnell Tate is as advertised, Titans fans. He is exactly who you thought he was. Made an exceptional catch in the red zone period. Looked great in 11-11. Was apparent in every team portion of practice.
Speed.
He looked. I mean, it wasn't even just the speed, but he had a. I was about to tell you. He had another route that his speed was apparent on. That was not a route that you would expect speed to be apparent on.
Well said.
And finally, I'll go with who I told you guys yesterday. My camp darling was going to be Jaron Canick. And today,
widespread Canick.
He was a ton of fun.
Oh, really?
He was a ton of fun. My song for him is "I Like Candy" because every time that guy got the ball, he was like the. Do you remember the kid that they throw the basketball?
Oh my goodness,
that's excellent.
Every time he touched the ball, he was breaking through contact.
That's why he's here.
And they're allowing them to progress up the field in these drills. Like everyone is practicing, so it's not like he forcefully broke through these things. But he looked a lot of fun in the units that he was involved with.
I will need you to give Carnell Tate your song of choice for him when he arrives. We'll see how what his depth of knowledge is, because Gloria Gaynor, bangers only. And I wonder if a 22-year-old is familiar with the catalog of Gloria Gaynor.
I don't know the last time a Titans rookie could say their first training camp practice went this well.
Well, but that's the thing for me, Robert. Like, he looked that way all spring, you know. So that's the continuity, right?
He is who he is.
The comfortable, how comfortable are they right out the gates? How comfortable is Cam with him? That's one of the best possible things that you could hear. So, for what it's worth, Cam Ward typically has a long post-practice routine. I'm assuming Carnell Tate is out there, one of those wide receivers catching passes from him in his post-practice routine. Looks like all three quarterbacks are getting a little extra work. So in a couple of minutes, we will have Carnell Tate at some point in the final hour, which is coming your way, coming up next.
12:02, good afternoon from Vanderbilt Health Football Center on day one of Titans training camp. I'm Lucas Panzika. The first ever training camp practice of the Robert Saleh Titans era has concluded. Jeffrey Simmons speaking with media now. Yesterday, General Manager Mike Borgonzi said that tackle J.C. Latham will remain on the PUP list, but he is just day-to-day with a pec strain. The Titans did take Amani Hooker off of the physically unable to perform list. Elsewhere across NFL training camps, bad news for a former Vol. Wide receiver Chris Brazzell, the third-round draft pick of the Panthers, went down with a knee injury and was carted off the field today at practice. Speaking of Vols, Tennessee linebacker Arion Carter is being suspended for the first 2 games of the 2026 season by the NCAA. It stems from a flight that was paid for by his agent during the pre-draft process before Carter withdrew from the draft and returned to Tennessee and reimbursed the agent. He will miss the Furman and Georgia Tech games. For all your foundation repairs and waterproofing needs, visit USSTN.com. Breaking news at once and your home for the Titans and Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone.
Hour here from the Titans practice facility, and Titans practice day one has officially concluded. Robert Walsh, Big J Journo, is here with us to give us his practice notes. Carnell Tate will join us momentarily. I don't have eyes on him right now, but I do see people on the jugs machine.
Yeah, it might be him.
And Cam is running sprints, so I would venture a guess that Carnell Tate will soon be upon us. You will hear from Jeffrey Simmons later on in the show. He is one of several players speaking at the podium today. In fact, Jeff is still going.
Yeah,
long time.
Long, about 10 minutes already.
You know, once you get a little older and you stop caring as much about what you say at the podium, you get a little more relaxed. But Robert, you have practice observations, and I'd like to get your practice observations on the offensive line beyond Dan Moore, who you said was having trouble.
Yeah, I read through this media guide thing because I was so scared. Like I'm
glad you did.
I want to give the best information I can while violating 0 rules. So I will tell you this: when they were in organized group things, the offensive line did not look great.
Yep.
It was a struggle for whoever was playing center. In my notes, I literally wrote, center struggles against Jeffrey Simmons, in parentheses, duh. Center struggles against JFM, in parentheses, duh. Center struggles against Jordan Elliott. Oh.
Uh-oh. Yeah, in parentheses, uh-oh.
Woofy. Not to say that whoever is playing center at any given time in these things, they have a ton of experience with Schlotman and Andre James, who Andre James has, we talked about this in the offseason, has more starts under his belt than Schlotman does. Schlotman probably just has a little more experience with the system. Andre James has a little bit more experience with Carmen Brasillo.
Well, they both have experience with Carmen Brasillo, to your point, because Andre James was Raiders with him, if I'm not mistaken, and then 2 years with Schlotman and the Giants.
Correct. And Coogan's in the mix as well. They're getting everybody some love as far as reps go. But the offensive line, I would say after day one, left something to be desired. But I would also consider the competition. But in doing that, you have to consider the NFL's competition, and that every team probably has something comparable to portions of the Titans' defensive line. Maybe not everybody has a Jeff or a JFM, but they have something similar enough that it would cause issues if this continues to be a problem.
Good players. Pretty much every week you will see good players in the NFL.
Yes. I remember my first training camp and one of the first press conferences that we did with Mike Mularkey. And I was asking about, they were getting ready to face Clowney with the Texans that week, and I was asking him, how much out of your way do you have to go to make sure that you're accounting for Clowney? And obviously teams do that. But he kind of shrugged his shoulders and looked at me and was like, listen, kid, I was 22 years old. Listen, kid, everybody's got one. Like there's a J.J. Watt here, there's a Clowney there, there's a T.J. Watt there. Like, they're everywhere. So
they're going to find them. And if we could pivot to the other side of the line, the defensive line practice. In previous times...
Yeah, give them some good before we shower them in bad.
In previous times, I generally like to stand around the defensive line and pass rushers because, one, those coaches have the most juice and are usually the most energetic, and those are the most fun individuals to watch. And this was no different, but it was on a totally different level. Gone are the days of fat defensive linemen just for the sake of being fat. There is no one out here whose body would resemble a Vince Wilfork.
Oh, yeah, that's the one.
Or a John Jenkins. Like, there are no bellies out
B.J.
there.
Raji.
The largest belly that was out there was mine, adjacent to the field. This is a tight, athletic defensive group, man. The D-line had so much energy, and at the center of all of that is Aaron Whitecotton.
Yeah.
We talk about a lot of coaches that got brought over here, whether it's Brian Dable, Gus Bradley, Robert Saleh, any of those guys. Aaron Whitecotton brings the juice every single snap. I love that guy. I really loved Ben Bloom last year, but I think this guy takes Ben Bloom's milk money.
Well, Bloom's still here in an advisory capacity. He's one of the few holdovers that they have. And for what it's worth, Bloom was a different defense, but Bloom was the edge guy, right? He's the outside linebackers guy, and Tracy Rocker was the defensive line coach. But for what it's worth, Rocker has a lot of experience. Hell, he's been here before prior to his most recent stint. But Aaron Whitecotton, you are correct. He has the juice. Do you have any observations similarly to Dable? Because they both have – because Saleh gets that from Titans fans because Titans fans don't get to see them on the practice field. Dable and Whitecotton are the juice. Saleh is very observational.
I'll be totally honest. I came back to the media group and realized that I had not seen Dable until 11 on 11 started. So I was interested to see where he ended up at during individuals and who he was working with.
Usually hear him.
I did not.
Okay.
I did not, but I enjoyed it today. Some guys to watch as preseason games approach. It's not going to be all the first and second team guys you need to look at. Somebody that impressed me body-wise are the holdovers from last year's defensive line. Cam Horsley and who's the other cat? Malik Herring.
Yep. But no, Malik Herring is new. Malik Herring was a Chief last year.
Timmy Horn is the other guy. Both of them totally refined their bodies, where it was a little bit of a gut last year, a little bit of a thicker build. This year, they look a lot tighter, a lot more athletic. Another guy they brought in that there hasn't been a ton of noise about, Jalen Holmes. 6'5", 283. He's 30 years old. He's been in the NFL for 7 years. He has a body like Superman. He's built like a swimmer, like
What's his
Michael
number?
Phelps. Jalen Holmes is 97.
Okay.
An interesting cat. I don't know how good he's going to be.
Ohio State.
But watching him, I was very impressed with how he moved athletically and how he moved with his size. So they have a bunch of guys that I think they will have a full practice squad this year, where if they do have injuries, the depth necessary to fill in these spots, I think will be properly manned. I think that's one of the feathers in the cap of this group is they needed to bring in a ton of talent to fill in the trenches and elsewhere on the defense, and at least on the defensive line, that is showing itself very prominently.
Well, that's the thing that I think fans have to keep in mind. They don't all have to be Jeff and JFM and Jermaine Johnson, right? They just have to give you – what do they have to give you? 3. If you can play 4 snaps in a row, you're doing it wrong. So you need 3 snaps from these other guys, basically, to be able to do what you need to do here. So we will look forward to talking more about the Titans defensive line group here in just a second. We got Carnell Tate. He's making his way up here to the SeatGeek Terrace. Looking forward to having a conversation with Carnell. We're going to have you right over here, big dog. Appreciate you. Hanging out here at the Titans practice facility after day 1 of training camp. Carnell Tate joins us now. How we living?
I'm living great. How y'all doing?
Man, we're good. We're good. So first day of camp, obviously football practice is nothing new to you, but good to get back into the actual football of it, I'm sure.
Definitely. First day was good, actually. Continue to build on what we came from in the spring as a team.
How are you settling in? Like, I know these are questions you've gotten a million times before, and it's okay to say, we've talked about this plenty, but as far as just the comfort level, the routine of it, rookie years are so tough. Just all the different things that you guys are being asked to do that you wouldn't normally get in an off season. Has it been pretty comfortable?
It definitely has been pretty comfortable. The team has helped me. All the older guys have helped me, pour so much into me to prepare me for this moment, and then especially first time going through an NFL camp. So it's going to be interesting. I'm still learning as I go.
If you had to kind of classify your on-field relationship with Cam Ward so early, obviously, but let's say a 100 level, 200 level, 300 level, like a college course, right now, where would you put that in terms of your understanding of him and how he wants to operate as a quarterback?
I think we're still learning each other, still figuring each other out, how we want the ball, where he want me to show up at the right time or at the right place. So I think still work in progress, but we continue to grow and build on our connection.
As far as that goes, though, I mean, you seem to be already, I don't want to, understanding it's early, understanding there's a lot more camp and obviously preseason games and things like that, you seem to be in the right place an awful lot.
Yeah, I mean, hey, I just do what the team asks me to do, just show up and catch the ball.
No doubt. As far as working with this coaching staff and Greg Lewis, who's obviously played in the league, has a lot of experience, what have you liked about getting acclimated with the new coaching staff?
I love Gilu. He pushes me. He brings the ultimate competitive side out of me, and then he always wants me to be better.
As far as what you mentioned, the vets who are helping you in the process, and there's not a lot. There are vets on this team, but for the most part, a lot of new, up-and-coming, ascending players on this roster. Ridley in particular. I know Rid has been dealing with a stomach bug and wasn't able to go full go today. We were making jokes. Hopefully you didn't get the lettuce virus that's been making rounds. But Rid in particular, what have you been able to glean from him in the early going? Because he was out there working during the spring.
Rid's helped me a ton. Like, Rid's been here for years. I believe this is like Rid's 9th or 10th year. So then also Rid was an elite person always growing up. That's someone I always watched and I learned from. So it's a blessing to have him as my vet or my older guy. I always ask him questions. I always pick his brain to see how you can beat different coverages, different man techniques.
Carnell Tate hanging out here with us. Titans just wrapped up their first practice of 2026 training camp.
Who else was someone that you tried to model your game after? Like, if you had to go with one guy that you really just gravitated towards as a fan and then as a football player, who would it be?
Definitely Devontae Adams. I think he's an elite player, especially after the man press, the press. He able to beat press super easily, and he go out there and make a play in the red zone especially.
And the guys that you were around at Ohio State as well. I mean, everybody talks about that wide receiver room and wide receiver U and what Brian Hartline and Ryan Day have helped orchestrate there. What were you able to pick up from those guys, just being around the likes of Jeremiah Smith and Emeka Egbuka? It's absurd, the wide receiver room you guys had.
I think each person brought their own thing to the game, especially to the room. Like Marv was very talented my first year when I got there, so I was able to learn a lot of route running from Marv. Marv had great route running, and then also with Emeka was very super smart. Like, he was our definition of work smarter, not harder. So I was able to learn the game at a different level from Emeka. And then also JJ just go out there and make plays. So just ultimately competing with JJ, and then he's pushing you to go out there and make plays.
You are in Tennessee now, and obviously you had a run-in with Tennessee during the college football playoff. Blowout, 42-17.
He's an alum. He's still mad.
My only question
I'm an Indiana fan, so I'm going to talk smack at some point.
But my only question is why? Like, why did it have to be like that, Carnell? Like, it couldn't have been like 30-17,
why?
you know what I mean? Like, it just like, you know, it just felt a little rude, that's all.
Every time we go out there, we trying to light the scoreboard light, so, yeah.
Okay, but be honest. When they came out without the shirts on, you guys looking around me like, hey, well, what are we doing here, boys?
No, we knew it was wraps once we lost the game to the team up north. We knew it was wraps for everybody else after that.
Fair enough.
So I want to go back to Devontae Adams because he's still doing it at such an incredibly high level. And he obviously has the MVP at quarterback in Matthew Stafford to help elevate his game even at advanced stages of both of their careers. As far as the longevity that he's had, what stands out about the way that he has found ways to make his game age so well, if you have any thoughts on that?
He's been able to consistently get open, beat man coverage, and then to beat the press, and then ultimately he just goes out there and make plays and show up when the teams need him.
As far as your expectations coming in here, this is a place that, you know, could use some juice, right? The Titans as an organization have struggled in the last couple of years, and you guys are being looked at, you and Cam and the younger guys being looked at by the fans as a source of hope. Do you feel any of that external pressure or any of those expectations, and how much do you put on yourself as obviously high-level now professional athletes?
I mean, no, I don't feel those expectations. I just go out there and play football.
That's got to be the best thing in the world, though, to just go out there and do the thing that comes the most naturally.
Yep, definitely.
As far as your off-the-field interest, I heard that you are a Lego connoisseur.
Yeah.
What's the set? Now, do you collect them? Because we've got somebody else, Robert. I don't know if you have feedback here on the Lego situation, because Robert is regularly looking up Lego sets that he wants me to buy for him that are somewhere in the range of $500.
They're high as hell.
Legos are very expensive.
What's the most expensive set that you have purchased?
Probably I got the Eiffel Tower.
Oh wow, that was how many pieces was that? That had to be over like 10,000.
It was over 10,000. Yep.
What's the time spent on something like that?
So with that, it probably took me like a good week, like nonstop, like hours, 8 hours each day, probably like 3-4 hours a day for a week.
Man, that level of determination, I would give up. I don't have the attention span for that. I don't have the focus for that. I don't have the attention to detail for that. Like, is that I don't know, is that helpful in some ways to like focus on a task? Like, I don't want to make too much out of Legos and stuff, but I do think that there is something unique about wanting to complete a task that you start, even if it seems arduous and takes 3 or 4 hours at a time.
It's just my way to clear my mind, get away from everything else. I just go out there and look at my iPad, do the Legos, and just turn some music on, get away from everybody else.
What are you listening to while we build Legos?
I listen to everything, like anything that's new, probably like Drake, Gone the Raw Wave, anything that's new. So sometimes I just go out there and put on a random R&B playlist.
Well, Robert compared your day at practice to a Gloria Gaynor song. What was the song?
I am what I am. Have you ever heard that before?
No, I've never heard that one.
I won't sing it for you. I'll sing it. But you were as advertised today at practice.
Appreciate it.
I was
Thank
trying
you.
to put everybody onto a song about how their practice went, and I think yours was super easy. Just came to me like that.
Thank you.
What was Cam's?
Cam's was for the longest time. It felt like the offensive line was giving him plenty of time to work back there. It might not have been the prettiest, but he had a chance to get the ball out and hit you in a couple spots across the field.
Yeah.
So we do have the advantage of being able to watch practice and get the audience updated. We have a little bit of a different viewpoint from up here. It's tough for us to see the jersey numbers when y'all are on field 3. But as far as the audience who's excited to learn more, what can you tell them about the day at practice on the offensive side of the ball?
I think it was a solid day. It wasn't the best day for us. It's a good starting point, and it's a good way for us to get better.
All right, so we like to do this as a way to get to know you guys better. With you being a rookie on this team, getting to know the Nashville community. We're going to play a game. Now, Robert crafted the name of this game. We're going to go with Tate It or Hate It. Super simple. Tate it if you vibe with it, hate it if you want to kick it to the curb. So we're going to go right out of the game.
It's as dumb as it sounds, I promise.
Well, you'll get to know this show a little bit. That's kind of the vibe. So, pretty generic. You're in Nashville. Country music.
Yeah.
Hate it or hate it?
Hate it.
Hate it. Fair enough. Pre-planned touchdown
Now wait,
celebration.
let's flesh that out a little bit. I hate it too, and I sound like I should love country music. What is it about country music that you don't vibe with?
Just not my speed. Not something I grew up hearing. Just not for me.
Yeah, I'm with
it's
that.
for a lot of people. Just not for me.
Pre-planned touchdown celebrations, like orchestrated with a certain choreography. I know you kind of go with the hands on hips sometimes, but when it gets complicated, Tate it or hate it?
When it gets complicated, hate it. So like my thing is from last year, my junior year at Ohio State, it was simple things, something you're able to learn quick, and then just something like all the guys played around with in the locker room, and they just like go out there and hit this.
Because it's better when it's organic like that,
Yeah.
right? Like if you're doing too much choreography, I imagine it gets a little clunky.
Focused on the wrong stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, Tate it or hate it?
Unless you're doing the Chopper City Juke for CJ this year. I know that's probably going to be a popular touchdown celebration among Titans.
Mm-hmm.
LeBron the GOAT.
Tate it.
Tate it?
Yeah.
Okay, I asked that because you're a Bulls fan and you're a Chicago native, but you're going with LeBron as your GOAT.
The thing is, I've never watched LeBron play. I mean, I've never watched Jordan play, so I'm not going to disregard someone else's opinion that says Jordan's the GOAT.
But it's a generational thing, right? Because like I'm 33, Lucas is 30, Robert 30, almost 33, and for us the same, right? Everything I know of Michael Jordan is in a Wizards jersey or on YouTube, you know. But I've watched LeBron James, and for him at 42 years old, 24 years playing professional sports, ridiculous.
All right, 2 more because we got to wrap this up. Tate it or hate it? Expanding the college football playoff from 12 teams.
From 12, hate it. I think it's good where it's at.
I agree.
Only the best teams show up.
Tate it or hate it? Tater tots.
Tate it.
There we go.
Not just straight up tater tots.
Yes, Tate it.
Important work being done.
That's Cardell Tate hanging out here with us, buddy. Appreciate the time. Congratulations on becoming a pro, and looking forward to seeing what you do in your career. Continued health and success.
Thank y'all. Appreciate y'all.
That's Cardell Tate hanging out here with us. We'll take a break. We'll come back here from Jeffrey Simmons at the podium. I'm Buck Rising. It's 104.5 The Zone. Welcome back to the show, fueled by Hattie B's Hot Chicken. Carnell Tate, about ball, about Legos, about Love Island, apparently. I didn't want to keep the man any longer talking about reality TV, but at some point in time we'll catch back up with Carnell Tate. Now, Cam Ward is not yet at the podium, and Cam Ward is one of the athletes that is supposed to be at the podium today. So when he appears, we will go live to him. The media looks very, very impatient waiting for the quarterback now that we are more than a half hour removed from the end of practice. But, a subject for another day, I suppose. We do have Jeff Simmons' podium availability, and we will go to that right now.
Coach was talking before practice about how, for you and all these guys, adjusting to an attack-style defense versus a read-style defense is going to be an adjustment. How much do you feel like you've already adjusted, and what are the specific things you're having to work on?
When you in the meeting rooms, they preaching it. And since I met White Cotton and Saleh, training with JFM, training with guys like Quinnen, your get-off is the most important thing. Your first two steps, you have to really key in on your first two steps. And that's the defense. Once you get your first two steps in the ground, is go play football. We got a rule in our room, and it's stay between the guardrail. However I get home, that's how I get home. After them first two steps, when I stay on my track, that's what it's about. This defense, everybody know the solid defense. He's been in multiple places, from the Jets to San Fran. You're gonna know where we at 100% of the time. So it's up to us. And, it was a great story that Coach White Cotton gave yesterday and talked about Tiger Woods making putts. I think he had over 1,000-some putts from 3 yards out, 3 feet out.
I have a friend with benefits.
And he made, 99%, I think it's like 99% of them putts. So it's like, it's up to us to be consistent in what we're going to be doing, because team going to know where we at. And like I said, my first two steps and staying on my track is the main most important thing in the defense. But I would say, getting the coaching from the meeting room, taking it to the field, it's still the game of football. I think you get the coaching, you line up and go play football. And I think that's sometimes we could forget when we talk about a read defense and attack defense. You still got to line up and go play football.
Saleh said that guys making this transition that you're making tend to fall forward early. Have you felt that different gravity, let's say?
When I left here, I knew what to expect. I knew the type of defense that I'm coming back to play and get ready for training camp. So, when I'm working on my get off in my first two steps with my training off season, I'm like, oh man, I almost fell. But it's, like I said, I've been getting off the football, getting out of the three-point stand, doing the get off since, I've been playing D-line since 8th grade. I've been doing, it's just a different mind. I wouldn't even say a different mindset. It's just faster. Everything in this defense and this style of play is fast and violent. We hear it, we talk about it, and that's what this White Cotton, the command and the individual, you guys see it, y'all over there. It's from top down. That's what they preaching in the building, and it's up to us to hold that standard up, and that's continue to get off the ball. So, like I said, there's nothing new. Even when last year defense is still get off the rock. So, like I said, it's just a couple different tweaks.
Year 8 for you, is that hard to believe? And then kind of what's mindset for you as you head into another one?
This offseason, I'm like, geez, time flies. But, just 8 years ago, I was a rookie, coming into this league, just, grateful to have this opportunity. And I still feel that each and every day. I don't wake up and be like, man, I got to go to work. I still get this opportunity and that joy to be able to come into this building and play the game that I love, that I fell in love with at the age 5. So it's a blessing. I'm grateful to be able to still be able to put on cleats and run onto that field. So it's not a surprise. It's not a year 8. It's still that joy to be able to training camp tomorrow. It's like reporting to training camp on my birthday. I'm like, a couple years ago, I wouldn't be like, man, in college, I was like, that's not ideal to go to camp on my birthday. But to be able to walk into a building that, grateful, the gratitude to be able to play this game. I'm blessed, and I'm attacking this like year one. It's no different mindset for me to where, it's new coaching staff is be the best version I could be to help this football team succeed.
Jeff, we haven't talked to you since you signed your new deal. How big of a moment was that for you and your family, and also how crucial getting that done ahead of the season?
Yeah, I want to say it was probably after a week or two after the draft. The deal been, my agent and, front office been working, Bargunza and them. And that's, one of the things that I reminded Todd that I didn't want him to be messing. Like when I talk to you guys, I mean, normally when guys getting deals done, as you see, it's all over social media, getting messy. I mean, like kind of my second deal, it's kind of got in the media a little bit. You know, I kind of didn't like that, during that process. And so my thing was I just wanted everything to be smooth because, like I said, this organization, since I walked into this building, been nothing but good to me. It's Amy, the front office with, Chad and them coming in. I mean, when Chad was here last year, they got Borgunzi this year. The relationship that I'm continuing to try to build with Borgunzi this whole offseason, when he first got in, that's what it's about. And that was my mindset, is how can I build a relationship with these guys, not just through the game of football, just off the field, trying to learn their family and things of that nature. So I wouldn't say it was so much like, Todd, we got to get this deal done before the season, but it's also one of the things to where we was on the same page. We both knew after the season what was going to probably happen, with the contract. And let's go back to me saying I'm just grateful. I'm grateful to be in a place to where, I'm still valued. I'm grateful to be able to still go out there and help this defense and help this team with my leadership and my play. So, like I said, I'm grateful. One of the things, I was sitting on the couch outside and I get the call from Todd, and he still pissed me off by it because he was like, I got some good news and bad news. He's like, we didn't hit a home run, we hit a grand slam. So it was one of the things I'm like, Todd, you can't do that, man. But like I said, I'm grateful, and I'm blessed to still be here, and hopefully we can get this team back to win in football.
Earlier this summer, you said that you wanted to be in the best shape of your life. How are you feeling physically going into this camp?
I feel great. I feel great. I lost probably 10 from last season. I'm in shape. Being able to. Even if I'm not in shape, you're going to get in shape at practice. With White Cotton, he wanted us running 3 stripes. Wherever the ball at, we got to run 3 stripes. You got to see how we work in individual. But I did come into this camp with that mindset of, is get off, and get out the stat. Get to the ball. So my goal wasn't necessary to just lose more weight. It was just how can I get in better shape with the condition and things of that nature. Like I said, my diet and none of that changed because I had a great plan last offseason coming into the season, and I just stuck with that. So, like I said, I do feel great physically and mentally. That's one thing that, I've been really, really focused on more, especially with personal things that are going on in my life and family. I think sometimes we forget that, especially as a player, we talk about mental health. I would say probably 85% of this football game is mental. Maybe 90. Some guys think more, but when you have that, when your mental straight and everything else will fall in place. So I would say I didn't just focus on my physical being in shape. It was a lot to do with my mental as well. So.
Have you had a talk with Saleh yet about the reps and them being more than 4 to 5 in a row?
Man, I'm trusting the process on that. It's not one of the things to where I'm focused on that right now, especially in training camp. This is not one of the things to where I'm like, hey, Coach, I know you said that in the media about the 4 plays and get out the field. The way we play, the way we practice, hell, I may not even want to do over 4 plays in a row because it's the standard and the expectation that they expect out of us on the D-line. So, I had 3 plays today, and it's like 3 plays back-to-back, and I'm like, all right, it's just the first day. So to be focused on how many plays I'm going to do in a row at this point right now.
So we'll finish, or you can finish the rest of Jeffrey Simmons' conversation a little later on, but Cam Ward is approaching the podium, so we will stick here and hear from quarterback Cam Ward in just a moment. When Kroll tells me we're ready, we will go to the press conference here at the Titans practice facility. There is a lot to talk about there from Jeff, and we can break that down tomorrow in the first hour, but I am curious to hear what Cam Ward had to say. It looked like he was about 8 of 12 in team drills, according to reporters who were tracking his completions today. 2 touchdowns. Carnell Tate involved with one of them that we were able to see up from our vantage point here. 615-737-1045 is the number if you want to participate. You can also leave your thoughts in the F&M Bank chat. Cam Ward now.
And trying to build chemistry, camaraderie, and all that.
It was real good just for us to, be with each other again after we weren't for about 3 weeks. For us to continue to work on our timing from the receivers to the running backs when I was back down here, then the tight ends. But it was good for us, good camaraderie, had some bonding, then, got some good quality work in.
Cam, how was it being back out there with everyone after being off for the last 40 days?
Well, it's fun. It's finally for real now. instead of just being OTAs and working on specific stuff, we finally get to have a real meaning behind it. Got a preseason game coming up soon, then a real game after that. But it's exciting to have everybody back out here healthy, then run around full speed.
How much different things feel for you now compared to this time last year?
Way different. From system to players to just my knowledge of being an NFL quarterback. It's been way better. I think the staff that we hired, both sides of the ball, has really been helpful for the players, what we want to do, and making it easy for us so we go play fast. So it's gonna be an exciting time, exciting tramp, in a good season.
What do you think will help you most in year 2 play better against pressure?
I just think having a clock in my head each and every play. Helping out the O-line, getting the ball out, and thinking the same as Dable. I think that's gonna help me out, the most year 2. Then when it's time for me to make an exciting play, that's where I come in to do my job.
Saleh talked about 2-minute red zone and third down being the most important part of quarterback, and you said third down as well. Can you just kind of get into why that specifically is so much more elevated above the other parts of what you're asking to do?
Because those are the downs that, when you look at it on film, those are downs that can win or lose you a game. Those are downs that quarterbacks get paid the most to be successful at a high rate on those downs. And then that's where, it has to click for you, If it doesn't click on first down, you got to make sure you click on second and third down. So, just got to have an awareness of situational football and knowing, which 2-minute drill it is, whether it's in the half or in the game, what you need, and then, executing with your teammates at a high level. You had mentioned working with Dable. That's something that you've really come to realize, the third down importance. What was different from before to now? Just what led to that revelation? I just think the system. It's a young guy system. He gives us a lot of freelance, not only myself but the receivers, to do as we feel space-wise. And I just think he's putting us just schematically in the best situations, looking at things the defense does to get leverage for the wideouts, to make sure I don't have to move as much in the pocket to help the O-line out by getting the ball out faster. So I just think he's just making me a better football player each and every day.
After the 2 false starts on the first 2 plays of the first series, did you have to say anything to your guys to kind of kick them into gear, or what was kind of your response to that?
Of course. It's just an operation standpoint that we can't have. It was a sin by me by not communicating everything to them. So that's something that I got to get better at. Wasn't on O-line, wasn't on receiver, so I just got to be better relaying everything. But I can't start practice like that. We can't do it as a group, but we learn from it. End up having better plays down the end of stretch, but we got to start better.
Cam, you said in the Netflix documentary you thought your rookie season was all right. The team went 3-14. You had the lowest QBR amongst qualified passers in the NFL. So what exactly were you using to define all right?
Good with bad. Each game we got good plays, each game we got bad plays, but it's limited it. Over the course of the year, I got better at things that I want to get better in. But I really think that whole year, helped shape me and a lot of other rookies to that football is the same. It got to be about the players. It got to be what the players, are comfortable with, what the players are good at doing, what got us to this point. And I think that's been the best part of being a part of that, is I was able to learn throughout the process, even now.
That's somewhat freedom within the routes and receivers. You had mentioned the freedom that those receivers have. How much more does that emphasize you guys getting on the same page? What are you able to do to make sure, when they have that freedom, you know what they're going to do? The biggest thing is watching film. I've been watching film with me, seeing my point of view, what I see from safeties, corners, but the biggest thing is angles and how they have to, have good body demeanor across the middle of the field, wrapping backers, sitting versus zone spots versus the nickels, whoever it is in the area. And they're all doing a great job, honestly. We had no miscommunications this whole time with that. So I think the more we continue to hold each other accountable, watch more film together, I think it's going to end up paying dividends. How much of that do you feel has sprouted from the time you guys spent together in Miami? A lot, but it's something that we started, when we were here at OTAs. And then working out with them in the off season, it was really of timing and, all of our space plays, imagining, people in these areas. Because a lot of times, you have to imagine it because, as the season gets longer, the reps go down. So you got to try to,
really rely on the film and imagine things in your head of how you think it's going to play out. Then you also got to react to how things play out in the game.
Cam, there's a lot that's different around you right now.
So Cam is still at the podium, but we are going to take a break here because I want to react to that question that Jared Stillman just asked him. I thought it was an excellent one. I'm Buck Rising. It's 104.5 The Zone. Welcome back to the show, fueled by Hattie B's Hot Chicken, the best hot chicken in the world. Lucas has an interview, or he's taping his soccer show for later this afternoon. He's got something soccer related that he had to scurry on back to the studio for.
He told me it was a proctologist appointment.
Oh, he also told me that he ate lettuce from Taco Bell recently, so maybe he and Calvin Ridley are suffering from the same lettuce parasite at this point that cost Calvin Ridley a day of practice. I shouldn't say that.
We just got to figure out what's wrong with me now. Yeah, you're not supposed to hypothesize about why injuries could have happened or why they happened. You can only say that they suffered an apparent injury. I've read that media guide front and back.
Good. Can you recite it verbatim to Zach Lyons?
He didn't mean to do nothing.
I don't care. I'm still mad at him.
It's okay, Zach.
He knows I'm mad at him.
Zach, you're okay. Bud.
No, you're not. Delete the tweets.
You're okay.
615-737-1045, the number. Last call for phone calls if you got it. Now, Cam is still talking. So I'd be curious. Obviously, we took a break there from carrying Cam's press conference because I wanted the opportunity to react in this last segment. And we can talk more about this tomorrow, too. We'll have plenty of time. But I wanted the opportunity to react to a question that he was asked. Now, I never watched the quarterback thing, Robert, and that's fine. Like, I'm sure some people did. I'm sure people enjoyed it. And I'm sure it was just fine. Wasn't a reason for me not to watch it. Wasn't a reason for me to watch it. I see him. I know him. I'm familiar with the Cam Ward experience. Stillman asked him a question about something that he said, calling his rookie season all right despite 3-14 and a terrible QBR and a performance that nobody else, including himself, by the way, in season. After their Cleveland win, he was miserable. And I think that's documented in quarterback, as far as I know. Jeff called him the Grinch at the postgame press conference after that game. And Stillman asked him what about that rookie season could he define as all right, which was a good question. And I think a lot of times people are so quick to respond to the people who are asking the questions. If you don't like me, if you don't like Kaharski, if you don't like Stillman, that's fine. But you have to separate the art from the artist in terms of the questions that are being asked. That's a good question because that's not the standard. And I thought his response was good. I thought his response, because it's important to see me, it's important for me to see him, and for all of us to see him tested and respond. It's not just tested on the football field. He's going to be tested at every turn. He's going to be tested at the podium. He's going to be tested in the meeting room. He's going to be tested by his teammates. He's going to be tested by his opposition. It's a good question, and it's a perfect answer because the answer was the good with the bad, because there is always good. Even in the losses, there are lessons to be learned, and that's something that it took me a long time to kind of understand from the athlete and the coach's perspective. And obviously they've done way, way, way too much losing to justify, but there are lessons being learned here, right? He's new to this. He was new to this last year. And it's a fair question because that is no longer acceptable. You can't, if you go 3-14 this year and you do an HBO special or you do a Netflix special or whatever, and you're being documented and all these things, and you've got your own camera. He's got his own camera crew, as I understand it, that's documenting him for his own social media channels as well, and as is his right. I don't want to hear. I don't want to hear the good with the bad, because this is now, you're a grown-ass man. You're a professional NFL quarterback. Get out there and do the job. And if you do not do the job to the standard, then the standard will be held against you in terms of how you are discussed and how you are criticized and how you are questioned. Because it is fair to question him about these things. It is fair to question everybody who was even remotely involved with last year's product, who still remains. And there aren't many, but there are plenty. So I liked the question. I loved Cam's response. That's a good response. Don't coddle him if you're a Titans fan.
He doesn't need it.
He doesn't need it. It's the simping that is done, and it's not Titans fans specifically, and it's not all Titans fans. It's every fan base of every football program, every team, every basketball team, every baseball team since the dawn of time. There will always be simps, and I am disgusted by simps because the pro athlete does not need you, the YouTube commenter or the tweeter or whomever, to be like, no, it's too mean of a question. It's a troll question. He's an adult. He handled it just exactly the way that he was supposed to. So get out of here with the coddling of Cam Ward in year two. I'm sure he would tell you the exact same thing.
He's good at this stuff. He's good at talking. He's good at talking junk. And what happens when you talk junk? You got to back it up. And he did that today at
That's
practice.
What I'm saying. Because there are things, right? He's 35 minutes to the podium after the end of practice. I'm going to remember that if he struggles after a game and he's 35 minutes to the podium. It takes him. Derrick Henry used to do that. That's fine. Derrick is a Hall of Famer. Okay, we would make that excuse for Derek. Cam Ward is a 3-14 quarterback looking to prove himself as a number 1 overall pick. I want to see him go above and beyond at every level that he's capable of. I believe he has the correct demeanor to do it. I believe that people are going to take this as me like doubting Cam Ward or criticizing Cam Ward. I think I'm a believer in Cam Ward because of the makeup. And I think that holding him to that standard, that's the way athletes want to be coached. To a man, they'll tell you that. And I know some people don't necessarily take to a higher level of coaching or criticism or what have you. That's why the league weeds those dudes out. If you want to last, you have to be tough mentally, physically, emotionally, and every level of it. I think he's got the correct makeup. We'll see if he's got the actual skill to back it up.
And if you wanted somebody to hold your hand, you picked, I guess he didn't really get to pick them, but this is the wrong coaching staff to hold your hand through this. Like, Saleh's not going to hold your hand through this. Dable's not going to hold your hand through this.
Dable is not going to hold your hand.
It is not all Tea Party and crumpets anymore, dude. Like, you are going to have guys who are going to get in your ass paws. Like, you just got to deal with it and answer when the fire's on. Because we're firemen. We feel at home in the fire. Wait. That boxing coach, I don't know. I'm delirious, dude.
It's training. The training camp delirium is back. I was just telling you and Joseph, I guess, the idea that training camp is just such a whirlwind because you have training camp to do, and training camp is the focus, and then you have 10 million things to do after training camp, and then it starts all over again tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. I love it.
I can't wait.
I love it. I really do.
I can't wait.
I'll be honest. Lucas and I were both not excited.
But then
I love this.
Yes.
This is why I do it.
Yes.
This is why I do it. Now, if they go, 3-14 again, then I will hate it.
No. We're not talking about that. There's no records right now.
Well, I always get a kick out of when people respond to tweets or stuff like that. Like, if you hate your job so much, quit it. I love my job. Unfortunately for you all, I love my job because I do have the best job in the world.
Well, part of that is people just want to live in an echo chamber. Everyone just wants to be surrounded by like-minded people who feel the exact same way they do about the exact same things that they do. And any deferring opinion, see, that's the problem. I can't believe I've reached the age where I'm this guy now. Now the problem is no one wants to have their opinion changed. If you ever get in an argument with somebody, just stop. No one wants to have their opinion changed. They want to prove you wrong, but they're never going to listen to what you say and go, oh, you know what? That's a good point. I was wrong about this. There's no nuance anymore. Now it's, you disagree with me, you're wrong.
Well, people are very combative on the front end, and people like to tell you how stupid you are when they're trying to argue their point. So I think there's fault on both sides, but I do think you make a valid point. That's going to do it for us today.
We'll do it all again tomorrow, baby.
And for the next month and a half, happy training camp to everybody involved. Have a great rest of your afternoon. Shame Zach Lyons for tweeting when he's not supposed to. See you tomorrow morning at 10 a.m.